the only source you need for topics and toy news. This is Gen Z Report. Joining us live, the ultimate Marvel Legends and comic collector. He's got the power of youth. He's got the stories. It's Ashwan. Next up, the master of SH figure arts. His collection is legendary, his knowledge unrivaled. Say hello to Zion. And leading the charge, the one and only, the fearless McFarlane apologist and the agent who never sleeps. It's Agent Zman. The Gen Z Report. Your weekly dose of awesome starts now.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Gen Z Report, your weekly host of awesome topics and awesome news. I am your host from A to Z, Agent Z-Man. We've also got my lovely two co-hosts, Ashwan 231 Comics and Zion.
Hello, the new graduate with
Yes.
the new haircut.
How was your graduation, Zion?
It was very good and very fun.
I see you got a new look.
Yeah.
Well, of course, today's topic will be the Rank the Movies sort of series that we've been doing. And today's one will be about the non-MCU movies. So if I show here, it's going to be a very packed topic with all the movies that kind of like shaped the kind of like MCU kind of standard, but obviously this is pre-MCU, but you know. But before we get into that, of course, we have to do our pickups. So I'll go first from A to Z. I did only get one thing, and it was the Operation Monster Force. Let me try that. There we go. Operation Monster Force Chatsworth. And it's not the t-shirt variant, which I'm mildly upset about, but I'm already like, it's okay. You know, I'm happy to get this figure. And yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Now let's get to Ashwan. Oh, I think Ashwan's muted. Let me see. Let's see. Okay. Oh. Nope. What happened there? We cannot hear you, Ashwan. Might be the case. You might need to come back in and come back out. I think it's done that thing. But we'll go straight to Zion. Not me. It's not letting me drag. There we go.
One thing I can literally show off is my decorated graduation cap that I did for Avengers theme.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. And then I also have like a sash with it in like the same theme.
Way. That's sick. How'd you get that custom made?
I ordered a sash off the line, and then I went to this store that had like fabric for like different characters and franchises, and then you know Avengers is one of my favorite characters in fiction of like all time. So I just bought the fabric, and then me and my mom we sewed it on to the sash in my graduation cap.
Okay, sick. So obviously you've had your graduation, and how was that? Tell the audience how that was.
It was very fun and very like it felt like so surreal. Me and my friends just like we really did it. Like it's over for us now. We the pain of like 13 years all came to that moment of us walking across that stage. And I lost my voice cheering from my friends.
It's always good to have that kind of like fun event, but obviously it's like, oh wow, we've finished, and now it's like on to the next thing. But
Mhm.
like definitely, we were saying you're the best dressed because you were kitted out with the Marvel, with
Mhm.
the Marvel cap, the Marvel sash. You're just like, yeah,
And I had
that's
a
how.
whole suit and tie under too.
Was it hot? Because like for us in the UK, it's quite hot now. But was it?
Yeah, yeah. It was blazing. They had like fans all over the theater for us.
Oh my god, that must have been a nightmare. Because like, I mean, actually, no, the fans probably good, but then when you got out, it was probably just like humid and like you're like,
Yeah.
oh, take everything off. But yeah,
Yeah, and I had a white shirt on too, so like I didn't want to take my gown off because you would have saw like a bunch of like sweat marks.
yeah, it's not too bad. But yeah, anything like, are you? What have you got for pre-order that you think is going to come next week or
Um,
somewhat?
I pre-ordered the Secret Wars Daredevil, so and Amazon says it should be here like the first week of June. So
Oh, sick.
I should have by next week hopefully.
Yeah, stay tuned for next week's episode when Zion has the Daredevil figure. So there we go. But thank you, Zion. And now we bring back Ashwan 231 Comics.
Can you hear me fine?
Yes,
Yes.
perfect.
Okay, cool. Right, ladies and gentlemen. So I don't have any figures this week, but I pre-ordered some figures. So Z-Man and Zion may know what they are, but one of them I haven't pre-ordered yet, but I might pre-order, so I'll talk about that. So, the one that I may pre-order is Ace from One Piece, SH Figuarts Ace. And so I've been tempted to pre-order him, so I may pre-order him in a couple of days. I don't really know just yet. But the pre-orders I have done, well, pre-order and ordered. So I pre-ordered both of the Big Bad Workshop Fresh Monkey Fiction, the superhero figures. So the Tick and I can't remember the other guy's name, but I pre-ordered both of them.
Madman.
Yeah, I pre-ordered both of them just because I love their designs. They just look really funky, and I've researched the other characters that are like in the line that may come out, and I just thought they'd be a cool little thing to have on a shelf, and also just to get me into their brand. But the main one this week that I ordered, so I'll show it off on Next Legends and Liquor whether I get the T-shirt variant or not. But it's I ordered Chatsworth. So I'll have Chatsworth for next week. I would have unboxed them probably by then, but I'll let you know whether I got the T-shirt variant or not. But on to pickups this week. So mostly, of course, clues in the name, comics. I have shown off all my comics on my YouTube, I posted that a couple of days ago. And so I'm going to show off 3 just from that video of my top 3 for the week, just because I didn't get any more, so I'm just going to show them off. So, in no order, it's Amazing Spider-Man Spider-Versity issue 2.
Awesome.
And so, basically to...
Oh. Ashford, I think you've gone mute again. It went like you had volume and now it's mute. I'm not sure. No, I can't hear you. Zion, can you hear him?
Am I speaking?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can't hear Ashwan. Okay,
not
it'll
hearing
jump. Okay, so Ashwan, you jump back in and we'll just we'll entertain the chat. Okay. So while Ashwan is coming back in, I will check on the chat as we had a few people jump in. So we had Tac Tac Toys very early going, oh, this is a surprise. I was expecting a later stream. Evening, guys. Yeah, usually we do the 10:30, but today we want to do 6:30 and try that out. But yeah, and then Tac Tac, of course, says congrats, Zion.
Thank you.
Jay's Toys Collection here. Never seen you so early, Z-Man. It's not the middle of the night, I know. Like, you're wondering what's happening with this vampire. He usually is in the night, but, the vampire sometimes is a day walker. Ooh, teasing. Then Daredevil figure does look so good. I've seen the review from Dan Who Reviews, so maybe tempted to pick that up. Maybe. Then we've got Jay again, Ashwan getting fully enabled. And speaking of Ashwan, he's back. Let's see. Can we hear him?
Can you hear me fine?
Yes.
Let's go. And last but not least, we've got Keanu Leaves, who says, "What's up, guys? Got to work, but spreading the love. Spreading love to you. I mean, this love, not, I don't know what this is." So let's go back to, not me. Why does it keep on doing me? There you go, Ashwan. Continue with your pickups.
Right. So, this is one of them. Of course, like I said, I'm not going to show off all of them. I'm just going to show you top 3. And basically, Spider-Man Spider-Versity issue 2. And summary of the storyline is Norman Osborn is a good guy. He's training up all of the Spider family that isn't Peter Parker to face up against Green Goblin if he turns bad again. So, cool little storyline. See how that plays out. So, love that. Second one is the Infernal Hulk issue 7. So, haven't started reading it, but just thought the cover alone, he's fighting Magic and Cyclops. So, honestly, just really cool, and also one of my favourite characters, so I can't go wrong with that. And the last one is a trade, and it's Geiger Volume 2. So, past couple of weeks, I've got Volume 1 and Junkyard Joe, and this goes straight after Volume 1, so I know a bit about Junkyard Joe now. Hopefully he's going to be in this. This whole storyline so far has been really good, and so excited to get into this because honestly I would definitely recommend. But that's all for me.
And Tac Tac agrees with you. Geiger is excellent. So pretty good. I don't know about Geiger, but I must do some research. Do some field work and discuss, see what Geiger's all about. But yeah, so that was pretty much all for pickups. Now, usually we go into toy news, but I think because of how big this topic is going to be, because we're discussing so many films, we're just going to go straight into it. And then next week, who knows, that could just be all toy news because there were some reveals, but I think we'll definitely have a good build up. So yeah, let's get straight into the topic. So obviously the topic is, Ashwan disappeared and he's back. Let's re-jig everyone so everyone's A to Z. There you go. So obviously the topic is rank the movies and we're doing the non-MCU films. So now let's go into like a recap of what we did in the first rank the movies, as we did the X-Men films or the Fox X-Men universe. And here is our tier list from that video. So obviously some good S tiers. There was some, mixing and mashing. So you need to check out that rank the movies episode. So make sure you go check that back on the channel. But now let's get into the actual tier list that we'll be doing today. Let me put the full tab here. StreamYards is loving me right now. So here we go. Okay, yep. Bada boom. So we're going to be using Tier Maker, but I have done a lovely slide so we can, look at the images rather than not look at the images. But hey, there we go. So first off, we are covering Howard the Duck. So Howard the Duck is technically one of those like earlier Marvel films. I know there was probably like a lot of older Marvel films like 60s and all that stuff, like Nicholas Hammond and that stuff, but I was like, the tier list didn't have those, so I was like, thank God, because it will probably be a lot of if you see on here on the tier list, it doesn't have that, and we have an actual section called didn't watch, so it will probably help us if we didn't watch it. We could just put it there. But yeah, Howard the Duck, is this a film we have any of you seen this? All I know is that, hey, it's the mother from Back to the Future, and that's it. I've never seen this, but I was like, I think I saw it once maybe, and then kind of forgot it out of my mind. That's how bad it was. But yeah, what about you guys? Have you seen this film?
I've seen it, but I can't remember anything about it.
Okay, that's good. And Zion, what about you?
Yeah, I never seen it.
That's good.
But this picture of Lorraine from Back to the Future is tempting.
Yeah, I definitely have to watch it for the plot. Watch it for the plot. But we got in the comments. Jay was initially going like, "How did Deadpool 2 get into S tier?" Because it was a. You have to watch the video. You have to go back, but it was a good film, And then we got Justin Collects. Yo, fellas, he will be live later on in the evening, so make sure you tune into that. Jay, Howard the Duck, one of the worst films ever made in movie history. So bad. And I remember this existing, but that's it. And then Tac, Howard the Duck is a super weird 80s movie. Yeah. So I think with that out of the way, with that kind of like us discussing, where are we going to put it in the tier list? Because I feel like it has to go in the absolute shit. I mean, to be fair, I think, yeah, because didn't watch could be like, oh yeah, it could be promising, but I feel like absolute shit kind of feels right to put it in for Howard the Duck. What do you guys think? Should we put it there?
Yeah.
Definitely.
There you go. So from Howard the Duck, we move on to Man Thing. Now, this was a 2005 film, and we've got Zion missing, but it's okay. He'll come back. Don't worry. I didn't know this existed, and I feel like we're going to be starting off with these. I didn't even know this existed, but I saw like a brief clip of this film, and I was like, looks interesting. Definitely dated, as you can see from these images of Man Thing himself. Oh boy, early 2000s CGI didn't age well for this one. But yeah, have you ever heard of this movie? I know Man Thing is now more known in the kind of like Werewolf by Night movie, but not movie, special. But yeah, have you guys ever heard of Man Thing? The movie.
First time hearing about it today.
Yeah, exactly.
I've seen it, but it was just like one of those, you know, those like summer nights when you just don't know what to watch, and then you just see like a random movie, and then you put that on. So I've seen it, but it was like years ago.
Okay. Yeah. So we got Jago and Man Thing. I didn't know that was even a film. Uh, I didn't know it until I looked at the tier list, and I was like, "Wait, what?" And Justice collects. No, Zman, I think this was one of those X-rated films. Oh, if we did a tier list on that, that'd be we'd be copyright strike, demonetized. All the badness of YouTube will just be like. Although some of the costumes in those. No, I'm joking. Anyway, yeah, I have no clue about this, so I think it's safe to say when we put this on the tier list, I think it has to go to Didn't Watch. I don't think it's fair to give this like a absolute shit or not so solid or regular or good or amazing. I feel like it's a Didn't Watch because yeah, I mean Zion, you did watch it, but you
Don't remember anything about it.
Yeah. So who knows? We might have to check back in next week and see if we've watched it and maybe move it from the tier list. Let's see. But yeah, we've put Man Thing on Didn't Watch. Now, this one we're coming to is going to be an interesting, like, where we put this in the ranks. So from Man Thing, we go on to Blade, the first ever Blade film. And my God, I think we can all say we've all seen this film. And what a banger. Like, I had to take these shots. So I took this one from the infamous blood shower scene in that film. My God. Like, it kicked ass. The music, amazing. Wesley Snipes in his prime. The do. Wait, I can't get copy straight. I can't sing the theme. But something bad. Oh, you know the music if you've seen this film. I think it's an amazing film, and what a way to kind of like start like bring Marvel films into the popular kind of like field, because it was definitely not like what you've seen before in those earlier days, and also what we've just seen in the previous options in the tier list. This just it didn't feel like a typical comic book movie, and it felt like a great just like vampire slayer, but also with style. That's how I would judge it. But what about you two, Ashwan? What do you think of Blade, like as a film overall?
I would say it's amazing because, like, when I first, of course, we'll talk about the second and third one, but this one just to like start off the trilogy and just to know a bit more about Blade and Wesley Snipes' performance just overall in this film. I just think is just 10 out of 10. Just he's the reason why I think a lot of people love Blade a bit more now, and now like he's one of the main reasons why, of course, we wanted to see Mahershala Ali in the MCU as well, just because a lot of people love the Blade character because of Wesley Snipes. That Mahershala Ali went a bit up like from that, and it's sad that we hadn't ended up getting the MCU version yet, or just in general. But of course, Wesley Snipes did say there's only ever going to be one Blade, so.
Yeah. And that's true. I mean, I still think that film could happen, but obviously after all this multiverse shenanigans, when we're in the MCU 2 or the new MCU universe post Secret Wars. I know MCU 2 this doesn't sound great. But Zion, what about you? What do you think about this film?
Well, Blade, I think is it's a very different style from like our other Marvel movies. It's like the first like real, official like good Marvel movie, and in fact, this is like 1998, and just shows how much this movie had like an impact on it, and how that movie had much impact on Blade the character. Like if you look back and before the movie, like Blade in the 90s Spider-Man, he's like way different than this movie, and in this movie changed the way like Blade is and just in comics in general. So the fact that he was able to do this just shows how much of an impact in this movie had and how like good it became. because like Wesley Snipes is like Blade in pretty much everybody's eyes. Deacon Frost is like he was a good villain, even though he's not that known. He was still like a good villain. And the only things I would say that was like bad is like the CGI, and you can't really like hold that against it because it was like 98.
Yeah.
And then lastly, this movie had like a bunch of like those like good like one-liners, like one about the ice skating uphill.
Yeah.
Every Marvel fan should know that.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, and I did put this an interesting pick below the blood shower scene. I'm probably like you probably won't notice what this image is, but this
I
is
know
actually yep. There you it is the deleted scene from the first Blade movie where Morbius would showed up at the end, like they're on a rooftop and they look like, oh, who's this guy? And it's like this trench coat man, and you're like, oh, and it was supposed to. Like, yeah, it's Morbin. I mean, we'll definitely have to talk about Morbius like in its own rank the movies because but yeah, I obviously I think like my knowledge of Blade was only from the 90s cartoon and then this film because they were kind of like in the same time in terms of my exposure to it, because obviously I don't think any of us were born in 1998. I was born 2000, so I was like, as soon as like I could start to learn stuff, it was the Spider-Man show and then Blade. So it was like going through that, but like this made the character what it is now, because before he had so many different looks. Like I think his like first appearance, he had like an afro or kind of like goggles and very bright colors and everything. So it was like, definitely a different vibe of the time. And then the 90s show, the Spider-Man animated show, where it was like he's wearing like a black leather kind of jacket, but he's got a red top. So it was like, like it was okay, but he didn't have the kind of swagger that this Blade had. And then ever since Blade became such like you said, Zion, he became such an iconic character in the popular, world, because like everyone now knows who Blade is. You can't be like, who's Blade? Like everyone knows. And I think it's such a crazy time that we don't have a new Blade, but it's like, well, at least we got him in Deadpool Wolverine. But before we rank this legendary movie, we did have Tac going. Ironically, Marvel had nothing to lose with Blade. They were going bankrupt at this point, so they really could go all out. The MCU now is so good, but it's guided by certain criteria. That is true. This film doesn't feel like a Marvel film nowadays. It felt like its own thing that you could just like. People who aren't comic fans probably have watched Blade and be like, yeah, it's a sick film. I didn't even know it was a comic thing. But yeah, and Jay, Blade was under New Line Cinema, same studio as Nightmare on Elm Street. A banger indeed, yes. And we also have Rowdy Riles. What's up? And yeah, as soon as I said when I was born, it was definitely triggering to a few. Tac was 18 when I was born. Justin, excuse the fuck out of me. 2000? Yeah. I mean, we are the Gen Z for sure. Jay, how were none of you even born? You all missed the 90s. Well, did we though? Because we had leftovers from, either siblings or, media that was there for us to latch onto. So, we didn't really miss. Then Rowdy goes 1990. Now I'm part of the older group. I'm sorry. Well, that's why we're Gen Z. We're the Gen Z. No, so stay. We're talking about Marvel. And then Justin, 1989. Whoa. I'm not gonna say. And then J87 here. Oh, a lot of boomers here. I'm joking. Okay, so now here comes the kind of like. Luckily, we're at the early stage of the tier, but where are we gonna put Blade? What do you guys think?
I think amazing.
What about you, Zion?
The thing is that this actually isn't my favorite Blade movie.
Oh,
So
It better not be
for me-
number 3.
no. That one was. Well, we'll get to that one, but I'll put it in good.
okay. Well, okay. I'll keep it at good, but high tier good for now. It might change. You know, if you saw the previous Rank the Movies, we did a lot of changing around. So don't worry if your favorite one is still not there at the top. Who knows? We could be influenced to move it. But as we move from Blade 1, what's the next one? Gee, I wonder. It's got to be Blade 2. So there we are. And Blade 2 was definitely an interesting like sequel because it still had the violence, but you had kind of like more fight scenes. You definitely had more characters in terms of like the kind of like protagonists, but then they all become like antagonists, and it's all craziness. You have Donnie Yen here being amazing. You know, Donnie Yen, if you know, Ip Man, he's in John Wick, like the recent ones where he's like the blind character, blind badass guy. And obviously Ip Man, legendary action star, and he was in this, and I was like, whoa, crazy. And you had Ron Perlman here. It's a bold like vampire guy who, and I think this one also had what was it, the guy from Walking Dead, not I think it was
Norman
the boat.
Reedus.
Yeah, Norman Reedus, and he was just like, I'm in Trader, and he, you know, and then you have that scene where his head blows up, and it's like, yes, that's what I want. But yeah, what about like what do you guys think of this? For me, it's like it's a great film, continuing like after this first one, a bit more violence and more kind of like stuff involved with the vampire stuff, like lore in that sense. But what about you guys? What do you think?
I enjoyed it very much when I watched it. I just liked the whole like throughout the whole film. You don't know whether, because the picture at the top that Z-Man's showing off, they're they're vampires, but they're working with Blade to then take down this other thing, which is like another like vampire kind of thing. And like their whole dynamic between Hellboy's actor and Wesley Snipes is just like their whole dynamic throughout the whole thing of like they basically want to like fight each other but can't because of like Blade's like there's a scene where Blade is like just dancing in a club, or he's just standing still just in a club, and then he or the other guy like goes to like shoot him kind of thing, like points a laser at him, and Blade's already got a laser on him because they're like instantly at each other's heads straight off the bat, and it's just like because they're vampires, like full blood vampires. Of course, they have the thing of like they don't really like Blade because Blade's a day walker, but then they have to team up, and of course, it all goes like down at the end because you have like certain things happen, and yeah, when I watched it, I was a bit confused at first because they do put a lot of shit in it, like they do put a lot of stuff in like in the first part of the film, but like with the whole like certain plot lines that go in it, like even though there's a lot of stuff, it works well. Like you can see where what's going on. Like 1 minute the bad guy's like here, and he's like because his whole like thing is like he can turn vampires into his species kind of thing, and he has his own like little group, and then it's a whole like weird thing to just like to explain, but just watch it if you haven't. But it's very good.
Yeah. And what about you? Like, you were saying that there was another Blade film that was better than the first one. Is this your favorite? Hmm?
Yeah, this is indeed my favorite Blade movie because just the I don't know. There's something about about like these non-MCU movies. There's always something about that second movie that's just like better than the first. And
Mm.
this one is like no different to the others. Well, for me, it's like no different to the others. Where Blade 2 is my favorite. Uh, uh, like those like memorable scenes, like I was saying, with Blade, and that one guy, always like bickering, but they have to work together. This whole new team of vampires. That one, woman that's kind of like a new love interest to Blade. They're a little dynamic. Um, that one scene like that club, just like so memorable. And yeah, it's like they took this stuff from the first Blade movie, like the whole like vampire lore and all that stuff, and like the action, just expanded on it. They like brought it up to like 11. And the only thing that I would say that the first movie like did like better is the villain, because I think like Deacon Frost was like a better villain than Jared Nomak,
Mm.
because Jared Nomak is like not very like memorable
Mm.
as much as uh, Deacon Frost was. Like off
Yeah.
top, like
Oh,
off the
sorry.
top of my head, I can't remember like any like big like memorable scenes that Nomak had.
Yeah. I feel like with like these kind of like different species of vampires, like the old boldies, as I call them, the old boldies, and they're like, tearing apart the crew that was like kind of working together with Blade and kind of not, and this whole kind of like chaos and everything. Like, I don't remember, like, obviously when you're trying to like, because obviously it doesn't feel like, again, it doesn't feel like a comic film, so you're like trying to not like put connections. But Deacon Frost, that's a memorable name, memorable character. His impact towards Blade's kind of like origin, because he was the one who bit Blade's mom, and then like in the first one, and then like Blade's mom is also with Deacon Frost there. Like, it was definitely like that one is more like he's the imposing villain compared to like this one, where it's like at first you're like, oh, I feel bad for him, and then he's just got a bunch of his like brethren, like his fellow kind of like boldies, going like, we must kill them, and then eventually it's like Blade's just like, oh shit, we have to kill them, or like, oh, these guys are creepy, and it's, anyway, it's kind of like, I think of this one being the more action-packed film, whereas the first one had like a like not simple, but a kind of like a plot that you can go through and understand. This one was more like action in every second. And I remember like there's a scene where there's like these people in like ski masks and like ninja outfits. It's basically the introduction of this like group of vampires, but they all show up in these like ninja outfits kind of thing, and you're like, oh, ooh. And it's just like an awesome fight scene. And then when you get them talking, you're like, okay, what's your problem? Kind of thing. And obviously, I think one of the standouts of that crew was, as mentioned before, Ron Perlman. As you know, he's infamous for, not infamous, yeah, he's well known for Hellboy and a lot of things, but like him in this film was definitely a strange one, and I think this film had more comedy compared to the first film. So it's like you, I think, Zion, you were saying like, with the sequel, there's either more of something, or there's, like they tend to add more stuff because they know, okay, this is good. Like the first one was good. Let's see if we can improve it by adding more comedy, more fight scenes, more, I don't know, vampires. Kind of. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so for this, I think now let's get to the ranking of Blade 2. So far we have Blade 1 at good. Now, we know Zion We'll give you this one. Which one do you think Blade 2 deserves to be?
For me, it's an amazing tier.
Oh, so we'll put that there. But what about you, Ashwan? What do you think? Do you agree that it's like better than the first one, or are you like, I don't know?
I like the first one more, like personally, but like they're both like even if it was to go down to the good tier, they're both like still good. Like, if not, I
Mm,
both think they're like they're still up there. It's not like to the point where they're going down kind of thing. So I'm
yeah.
not like annoyed with Zion's pick to put in it amazing. Just I personally wouldn't put it in it, but
Mhm.
I'm not mad at it.
So you'd say like those two films are kind of like interchangeable of whether they're amazing or good, but they're still like they're not like absolute rubbish or kind of like low tier. They're still in that like, oh yeah, I'd enjoy watching this again kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's safe to say we'll just keep Blade 2 at amazing, just so we can fill out because I know the next pick we have is definitely going somewhere. But before we go with that, Rowdy, I called them boomers, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. That's a bit of a Gen Z thing to do, but you know, it's part of a gimmick. And then Tac Tac Toy is going, am I Gen X? I never know with these classifications. Born in 1980. Honestly, I have no clue. I think it is Gen X or millennial. I still don't get these terms. I just know I'm Gen Z. So, and then very in tune, Rowdy goes, "We all know the best Blade was Blade Trinity," and that is a perfect segue to the next topic or next film, which is Blade Trinity. Oof. Okay, first off, this is, I think, the first Marvel film that Monsieur Ryan Reynolds joins as his weird character, but you know, he's just doing the Ryan Reynolds thing. You also have Jessica Biel as like this kind of like vigilante character who's like there doing the vampire hunting. And the main plot of this is that they're fighting Dracula or like the kind of like main big vampire dude. And I remember he's played by Dominic Purcell. I think that's right. But I know him for being a heat wave in the Arrowverse. Yeah, it was Dominic Purcell who was playing Dracula. And one of the things that was definitely an oddity in this film was you had so many different like vampire fledglings that were working for Dracula, but also like Dracula would, you know, choke someone out or like, you know, just be like, oh, you suck, you rubbish, kind of thing. But we did have Triple H show up as one of the vampire like henchmen. And what a weird kind of like, obviously it's like you could tell when when these films were like, oh yeah, let's kind of like add wrestlers in there for muscles. Like it happened in the Arrow, like in Smallville, happened in Arrow. Like Smallville had Batista and Kane. So it was definitely of that time where you're like, oh yeah, let's have some kind of wrestlers to show up to be like action Jackson kind of thing. And you know, with this film being 2004, I was 4 when this came out, so definitely when I was able to watch this, I was like, oof. But I was also like, hey, Triple H, woo, woo. But the other image here I've got, as you can see, Wesley Snipes here lying down on like a table, but you can see his eyes are very fake CGI, and it's because the actual like production of this film was so bad that it was a nightmare. And Wesley Snipes refused to open his eyes for the scene. So they just were like, oh, quick, CGI. Let's put CGI on his eyes. And it just looks absolutely bizarre. Like, if you, like, it just, ugh. Like, you could definitely tell this film was, like, the last straw for Wesley Snipes. Because, unfortunately, there wasn't the next Blade film after this. This was it. And there was so much, like, changing the script, the storyline, and, like, eventually it just went, ugh. But for me, I absolutely hate this film. I don't think it's absolute shit because it still has some great action scenes, but it's definitely not good. It's definitely not good. But what do you think, Ashwan? Do you think this is a good film or?
Well, I haven't I've seen clips, but I haven't sat down and watched through the whole thing, just because I didn't want to put myself through it. But to be honest, with certain stuff, of course, Triple H is in it. That's just weird as it is. But I've seen clips of him, and of course, like you said with the eye thing, it's just it's kind of annoying that it got to that because Wesley Snipes was refusing to open his eyes, and when you see the scene format, it makes sense. It would have been way cooler if Wesley Snipes or Blade is just sat on some sort of table and is apparently knocked out or something, and his eyes are closed, and he goes to grab someone, he's woken up again, kind of thing. It just looks way cooler with his eyes closed, I think. And it's just within this scene as well, which is kind of annoying, is his eyes are open in this picture, but then it goes to the scene where he's actually holding him. You can see his eyes closed. You can see Wesley Snipes' eyes closed, and so it completely just blocks the continuity. So they just completely just there's no need for it, kind of thing. And it's just and of course, this is the film where Wesley Snipes didn't really like Ryan Reynolds, so yeah, but I haven't I haven't sat down and watched the whole thing, but like you were saying, it's not absolute shit, but it's clear it's not even good. It's not in it's not within the top non-MCU stuff, just because it's just, I feel sometimes with certain Marvel properties, they release a sequel when it doesn't need a sequel.
Yeah.
I know they done 2, so then of course you got to round it out for 3. But this is a sequel that, or this is a sequel that didn't need to be made, kind of thing. But there's another sequel coming up to do with a certain Nicolas Cage, but yes, but personally, I haven't really watched it too much, so for me, it would probably go in the not watched pile. But I've seen enough clips to know that, and from people like you and Zion and whoever, I know that it's not good. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and Zion, what do you think of this Blade Trinity?
You remember how I said the second movie always builds up and it's better than the first one in 2000 with these Marvel movies? Well, for some reason the third one always they fumble with it. And some of them aren't that bad, like Spider-Man 3. That's not that bad. X-Men 3 is mid. Yeah. But this one is just what were they doing? Well, what were they thinking?
Yeah.
Especially with the villain, Dracula. Dracula in the comics, he's a good villain because he's the most famous vampire, so it makes sense when he would be a big villain for Blade. But when he brought him to the screen, it's just that wasn't who Dracula is supposed to be. This is just another one of those vampires who could be in Deacon Frost or Jared Nomad's group.
Yeah.
And the fact that they didn't even call him Dracula, they called him Drake the whole movie.
Yeah. It was definitely I don't know if it was the same time as Twilight, so they were trying to make vampires more sexy, but it didn't work with Dracula because I mean, it's how if you watch the Bram Stoker Dracula, they kind of they don't, but I mean, obviously when Gary Oldman as Dracula, he's you have so many different looks of him where he's he's got the big white hair, and the like red dress kind of look, and then you've got him in his youthful kind of like, actually, okay, he looks really cool, but it's obviously of the century they're doing, and it's like, oh yeah, it's a period piece kind of look, and then you got him in the red armor, and it's like, oh, that's sick. But then when you when you get into like, I think it's like also that case of like 2000s. I think Twilight was either the first Twilight was out, or like at least like vampires were getting, like they were probably like getting to the point where they were like, okay, so like Twilight the movie 2008, so definitely not the same time as Blade, but like, or Blade Trinity, but it was like you had this weird era where like vampires didn't look as cool, or like, oh yeah, Underworld was kind of a situation where you had that like vampire sexy but not menacing in a way. So it was like, oh, and especially when you think of like Marvel Legends, they gave us a Dracula, and he's like this. It's more of his modern look, but he's got white hair, red armor, and everything. He's got a cape. This Drake that we got in the film had no sort of like source. He had no style. He had no kind of like anything. He had no vibe. He was giving nothing but, hey, I am guy trying to be sexy. But not Dracula. So it's like, what the hell? This is not Dracula. Go away. But yeah. Ugh. We got from Jay's Toys. He's put the full description of the kind of like generation whatever. So Generation X is 1965 to 1980s, so, or 1980. So I think oh yeah, so then okay, fine. And then millennials / Generation Y, 1981 to 1996. And then obviously Generation Z, Gen Z, 1997 to 2012. My gosh.
I thought it was 2010.
Yeah. And then we got the absolute worst, which is Generation Alpha,
Oh Lord.
which is 2013 to 2024, says Google. Okay, so it says Google. So who knows, that information can be true. Oh gosh, I don't want to think of Generation Alpha. Oof. Eventually there will be a Gen A show. Little kids. Okay, then we'll feel old at that point. But
they're already making us feel old.
yeah. Well, no, we're not feeling as old as Justin, who goes, "Sorry, I can't hear anything you guys are saying at this point over the sounds of my joints crackling." I mean, we're getting there, closer to similar ages, not quite, but you know. But anyway, without further ado, let's rank this. I wouldn't call it a monstrosity, but just a why? A why?
I'll call it a monstrosity.
Okay, so we've obviously got. Oh, here's a reference. Justin, for reference, me and my wife started dating in 2008.
That's when I was born.
Oh no! Oh my God! Wait, I'm. Anyway, let's get to the ranking of Blade Trinity. So we have like Blade 2, Blade 1 and 2, kind of like interchangeable at this point of like amazing / good. But where do we rank Blade Trinity? Do we go either not so solid or absolute shit?
Okay, just because that there's some other movies on here that I argue are worse than Blade Trinity, I'll just put it in not so solid.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a good kind of yeah, because so far then at least we'll get to the point where like we at least have one film in each tier, and then we can move around, you know, as this tier list right now, as it's very early, it's flexible. So who knows? We could put Blade into absolute shit, or Blade Trinity It's absolute shit. Not Blade. Blade's good. But yeah. And Ashwan, do you agree? Kind of like putting it to the not so solid kind of category?
Yeah, makes sense because you and Zion were saying that it's not absolute shit, and of course, I'm the only one out of the three of us that didn't watch it, and so it makes sense going in the not solid thing because most likely, if it's a didn't watch, then I would assume all three of us haven't watched it. So
Yeah, and the thing is, I think Blade Trinity has a charm to it because of how funny and like how badly funny it is at certain points. But it's still like you still got solid action at some point, so it's like it's not too bad, but it's not so solid. So there we go. We put Blade Trinity there. Who knows? It might go down. But now, from Blade Trinity, we go to Daredevil, the first Daredevil film. Not the first Daredevil in live action. Daredevil did appear in the Incredible Hulk show back in the day. And I think they tried to do a spin-off show, but it never happened. But we've got Daredevil with Ben Affleck as Matt Murdock. You got his former wife, ex-wife, so many different situations, but Jennifer Garner as Elektra, Colin Farrell as Bullseye, and then I think it was Michael
Clark Duncan.
Michael Clark Duncan, there you go, as Kingpin. Now, I'm going to be very controversial. I really love this film. It's so good. Like, I get there's some goofiness. Like, the CGI doesn't hold sometimes, and I think Bullseye's definitely like he's definitely a weird take. Of course, he's like Colin Farrell just doing Colin Farrell, but with I think one of the cases where like some movie looks kind of go into the comic stuff where it's like you've seen sometimes Bullseye has the Bullseye scar on his head because of the film. Obviously, a terrible thing for Bullseye. I hope the Netflix one or the Disney Plus one never does that. But in terms of Daredevil, like I do want to put this out there. Jay puts out a good point. The director's cut of Daredevil is good. I agree. That one is much more like solid. Like the other one is okay, but I think, like Justin says, movie is definitely a product of its time. Not great, but not awful. But for me, I love it. I think sometimes this version of Daredevil out Daredevil's the Disney Plus one just because of certain features. And I'll say it's more of how his powers are shown in this film than how his powers are shown in the Disney Plus, where, when he has how he sees, where it's like the echolocation kind of like thing. In this film, it does it the best because it's such a wild mode where it's like when you see him as a kid, kind of like learning how to see, and it's all the sound vibrations and it's all creating images, blue images. That for me is like, that's the best showcase. Oh, like best showcase in live action so far. If they did that but red, like they did in the animated series, then I'll be like perfection. But also, I would say the way Daredevil moves in this film, it like beats the Disney Plus one. Not in terms of fighting. I'm talking about traversal because we barely see Daredevil move around in the MCU. He's very contained into a building or a street, or not even a street. He's always contained into a building. And he's like good in fights, but not as fluid as a like movable as this Daredevil. And I feel like that's closer to the comic one, where he's like swinging around, he's doing flips, kind of thing. And I'm like, that's what I love about this film. And I think the Kingpin in this film is so good because of how huge and menacing he is. Like, especially his fight scene where it's like you got this like everything's wet and everything, like the sprinklers are going off, and you just have him as a menacing like punch like machine to Daredevil, and it's like eventually Daredevil just goes joints, break them ankles, and like it get like it's so good to me. But what about you two, Ashwan? What about you? What do you think of this Daredevil film in general?
Well, I'm sorry to say, but I haven't watched it.
What?
So, but I will say from the clips I have seen of it, because there's certain films on this list I haven't seen, but I've seen a lot of clips of it. That, from what I've seen of it, it does look enjoyable. Like Colin Farrell's performance seems very good. The guy who plays the Kingpin, his whole performance I think is very good in the film. Like they both even though of course Colin Farrell's kind of playing himself, like they both suit the characters. Like they're both Kingpin's menacing, and he plays the character really well. Colin Farrell plays the character really well, even though he doesn't have his suit, but he plays him really well. But I can't really have a say on it because I haven't watched it. But from what I've seen of it, I probably will within the next couple of days, watch it if I'm able to. Try find it somewhere, and I'll let you know what I think of it.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. I mean, yeah, it's definitely. I definitely recommend watching it at some point, and maybe who knows, maybe we'll check back next week and see if you've watched it by then. But Zion, what about you? What do you think of this Daredevil film?
I actually really like it. I saw I only seen the director's cut. I never seen the original because I always heard that the director's cut was way better than the original. And by the director's cut, I think it's a very solid film, especially for its time. Some stuff doesn't hold up, but I mean, we love Spider-Man too, and X-Men. And there's a lot of stuff in those movies that don't hold up. So you can't really knock this movie down for saying CGI doesn't hold up when other movies also don't hold up during the time. And yeah, I already like this cast too. Ben Affleck as Daredevil. I think this is one that is more comic accurate with how he moves. It's acrobatic because MCU Daredevil. We really haven't seen him do a bunch of be acrobatic. He's more like a boxer. But this one was you can see him swinging around, jumping around, when he kicked Bullseye off of that motorcycle. That's something that I don't think we've ever seen MCU Daredevil attempt to do. Elektra in this movie, I think was she was a good pick, not better than the MCU one, but she was still a good casting choice, and she was still good in the movie. Now Bullseye, I didn't have a problem with how he was portrayed in this movie because Bullseye is crazy in the comics, and there's two versions of Bullseye. There's the Benjamin Poindexter that we're all used to, but there's also for a time he was just known as Lester, and that's what I associate this Bullseye with, which is him being the Lester version of Bullseye. And he has a lot of memorable scenes with when he was on the plane. And then I don't want to spoil that film, but there's this one scene where he's on the plane and he does something and that's very memorable. And it's something that Bullseye would do.
Oh yeah.
Kingpin. Whenever live action Kingpin always has good actors like this guy, Clark Duncan versus D'Onofrio. They both are amazing as Kingpin, and it's actually hard to pick which one's the better adaptation because of how good he played in this role. And boy, yeah, Daredevil's powers is shown better in this adaptation, and is shown more than the MCU version is, because we only saw that one once. While this one we see it a bunch of times throughout the movie, and it even comes back in a way later in the movie. And overall, yeah, this is a very good movie. Well, not very good, but it's a good movie. Director's cut, and it has like those nods like to like the comics. There's one famous panel that they recreate.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm like, I'm so surprised that the MCU slash Netflix era of Daredevil hasn't like recreated any of the comic stuff. Like, especially one of the shots in the film where it's like an iconic pose of Daredevil, and it's like, gee, only one film has done this look of like Ashwan. We'll show you later. It's like such a like the him holding the cross kind of thing, like him around it kind of thing. This film did like also. I think the city in this film, like the aesthetic, has such a grittier tone that I feel like best suits it. Whereas Netflix one was great until it moved to Disney, and then Disney kind of like changed it to more of a, oh yeah, Hell's Kitchen kind is okay. It's like it's not as like, I think the word is like vibrant, like compared to this one where it's like it's a dark city at night. During the day it's like it's okay, but it's like something's fishy, kind of like that tone. Whereas like the Daredevil one slash the Netflix one is like especially in Netflix season 1 it's great, and then slowly it's like it falls off to me in my opinion. But yeah, we've got Justin saying I'll have to catch the rest on the replay. Gotta go take care of my kids because I'm old. Apparently, catch you later. I mean, it's fine. Don't worry. You're old. I'm joking. But anyway, let's get into, like, I do want to say this is a fun Easter egg. So the Kingpin in this actually does return in the Spider-Man new animated series, and he is voiced by the same actor. And it's kind of a weird thing of like, is that Spider-Man technically the Daredevil universe, which it could be, but also that Spider-Man was kind of like, it was sort of Toby universe, but obviously it didn't have Toby. It was Neil Patrick Harris voicing Spider-Man, but you had like some tropes of the Toby universe, but it was definitely its own thing. And them showing Kingpin in there, I was like, wait, what? Could we get Daredevil? But unfortunately, that show didn't get a season 2. Although there are fan made projects that are bringing it back and having Daredevil show up, and I'm like, whoa, hell yeah! But also, he's not the only other character that returns in a different like media format, and that is Bullseye. Yeah. Although, well, I won't say his fate in this film, but this Bullseye shows up in the Punisher game as a villain, and then like in that game he's either like he's defeated, but then in the next, like in the concept art for the second Punisher game, he was going to return, but obviously that didn't happen. But definitely a weird world where you had, like, obviously it was pre-MCU, so it was like, whoa, connecting already? What? But yeah, and he didn't look like this. He didn't look like Colin Farrell. He was bald and had the whole, bullseye scar, but he had a bullseye, like, tactical outfit, like, on it, like, on top, instead of, like, having the trench coat and everything. So definitely a weird take, but anyway, let's get straight to the ranking of Daredevil. So, where are we going to put Daredevil? I have my bias, but I think I'll ask you two first because, yeah, I have my bias, so I don't want to immediately put it at amazing. But what do you guys think?
I won't have a say in this one because I haven't watched it, so I'll let you two talk about it.
Loki, I'll put it in regular because it's not like a very good, like it's not as good as like the Blade and like Spider-Man, but it's also not bad. It's
Yeah.
just like one of those like just like a regular like average semi good Marvel movie.
Yeah. I think that's perfect. Regular. So it's not rubbish, but it's not like good. But it's okay. I give it yeah. I think that works. Like obviously my bias would have been amazing or good, but I think putting it as a regular, that's like a good kind of like middle ground. But yeah, that's perfect. So we got Daredevil there. Now, unfortunately, for those who don't know, there was a sequel to Daredevil.
Not the one
Not
we
quite
wanted.
wanted to like what anyone wanted. But before we go to that, we do have Your Boys Got Toys. Damn, y'all started way early today. Yeah, we did. Then Encounter Culture is here as well. Shout out Kenny. That's what I was thinking. And then again, Lexi going, should have had a watch under the influence category. But now we move from Daredevil to its weird stepsister that is Elektra, the movie. Now, I can tell from Ashwan's look from that image right there with this devil guy. Yeah, and also this snake dude over here. You're like, what the hell is going on? Now, first off, as like a kind of like a summary. I mean, it's kind of hard to say about this film without spoiling Daredevil. But obviously, if you know comics, you know what happens to Elektra when she fights Bullseye. So it's kind of in the elements of like, oh, post her. Okay, I'll say it. Post her death, this film brings her back, and you do have her like kind of like she comes back and she's more like, she's resurrected. And it shows more of her kind of past and her training, which I don't know if Kurt K is watching, but they did show Stick in both films of both Daredevil and Elektra, where in this film, they actually had the legendary actor of Terrence Stamp, aka General Zod from the original Superman movie, or Superman 2. He played Stick, which was definitely like, I don't know if it's like, no, he was actually quite good, but this film, not so much, because it gets to this point where she's resurrected. She's like, I don't know what to do. What am I supposed to do? They kind of don't mention Daredevil, although there were deleted scenes where they had Ben Affleck return to kind of like show up and being like, oh my God, Elektra, you alive. But you also have this film where Elektra's got a new love interest. And it's like, wait, what? What's going on? But the main kind of plot is that she's protecting this kid who has some kind of uniqueness, and then these band of like weird warriors like show up. So one of them is this snake guy who has this kind of like tattoo man from DC Universe, where it summon stuff, but here it was just a snake. But and then you had this like demon dream visage kind of thing. So it's not real, but also just weird. And it was just all over the place. Like I couldn't even watch this. Like I did watch it because I was at that mode of like, oh, I wanted to see what happened to Elektra. And to be fair, she does have a better outfit in this film. I mean, it's just red, but I mean, that's all we wanted from Elektra. But it's close, but not so close, because she's like still wearing red leather and whatnot. it's a full-on just weird trip of a film that feels disconnected but also feels connected because it's like, oh yeah, it's her character, but everything else is just strange. But I'll go to Zion because I feel like I know what Ashwan will say, but we'll save you later. But Zion, what do you think of this? I'm not gonna call it a masterpiece. This film.
This movie is like it's obviously not the sequel we wanted, and this sequel is like it dives in. I respect it a little because it dives into the more like fantastical elements of the Daredevil verse and mythos, and with Elektra. And I mean, it made sense because how else was she gonna like come back? They had to go like some like fantastical stuff. But I mean, it's not very good. I think they should have just went with the canceled Daredevil 2, like instead. Because what they was cooking up for Daredevil 2, like with the deleted like scenes, like script and all that stuff, that would have been like way better than this. And Jennifer Garner, I'll say she did like a good job as Elektra. Like she didn't do bad. She did good as the character. But this movie does make me respect Iron Fist a little more because I remember that this movie had Typhoid Mary in it, and this adaptation of her is like, it makes the MCU one look way better.
Yeah,
Like I also respect her for like bringing in another Daredevil villain that's not very known in Typhoid Mary. So I like that they did that too.
Yeah, like I had to double check. Like, yeah, Typhoid Mary was there, and the main villains are technically the Hand in this film, but it's like very strange. And the demon is one of the villains, and then you have like the main villain is Kirigi, and then you got Tattoo. Literally, the guy's named Tattoo. I think DC was like, it's not so close to Tattoo Man, but we'll allow it. Then, they obviously had Typhoid Mary, but in this film it was just called Typhoid. And then you had the demon, and then you had Stone and Kinku, which was some like obviously who like had super strength kind of characters. You wouldn't even know that they existed in this film, but they're apparently there. But yeah, what do you think, Ashwan? Have you seen this film? And are like descriptions giving you the point of like, oh yeah, I will definitely watch this, or is it bye bye?
I haven't watched it because, like, if I didn't watch Daredevil then watch this, it would be kind of odd. But definitely, like, if I'm able to watch that Daredevil film, then I will probably just watch this anyways, just so I know a bit more about like the adaptation of the character within these films, and also just to see what the hell that demon thing is.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely a wild trip. And I remember watching it like back in the day, and I was like, "What's with the quality? Like the cameras look absolutely terrible." Yeah, the demon just doesn't look. You'll have to see it. You'll have to see it. So make sure you don't watch this first. You watch Daredevil, then this. Or you could watch this and be like, wait, what's going on? But
no,
definitely,
watch Daredevil. That's a good movie.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think we've definitely talked this one, and now we'll get to the ranking of Elektra. So now that we have all these films in, like we have slots for every film so far, I feel like. Oh, I feel like I don't know if it's. I feel like I would personally put it in absolute shit, just because. But I don't think it's like it could also be like it's not so solid as well. But like because absolute shit is like just being like But to be fair, I feel like it could warrant that. But then again, I think like Zion, you were saying, it does have some comic stuff. of like stick. We got the hand technically. We got Typhoid Mary technically. What do you think? Where should we put this film, Elektra?
Well, every comic movie has like at least something like comic in it, like even like the worst ones. So I'll still put it in absolute shit tier.
Okay. Yeah. And I know Ashwan, you haven't watched it yet, but from our description, would you say it's an absolute shit film?
Yes.
There you go. So without further ado, Howard the Duck is not alone. And do we put it like worse than Howard the Duck, or like it's all right, like compared to absolute?
Well, I'm assuming at the top is the better one, so I'd put it at the top.
Yeah. I think that's how it works.
Because at least like Jennifer Garner did good in this movie as Elektra.
Yeah, and she looks great in the costume that they got her in, even though it's not like the most accurate. But then again, Elektra's outfits haven't been accurate because of how she does look in the comics. But then again,
the MCU still hasn't done like her in a comic outfit, so we can't really knock this movie down for it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like but yeah. So there we go. We've got Elektra in the absolute shit, but not as bad as Howard the Duck. Now we go from Elektra, which was just we have Alexi. Howard was good for the time. Elektra was shit, even considering the era. Yeah, and Kenny agrees. The thing is, I feel like maybe Howard the Duck could be moved, but then again, I'm like, at least with Elektra, it has some connection to something, whereas Howard the Duck, I have no clue. It was just weird. But anyway, so from now, we take a break from the kind of like films that have sequels and kind of like continuations. We instead go to a film that I definitely think is gonna ruffle some feathers because it's a very divisive film. But we go into Hulk, Ang Lee's Hulk. Now, we'll go from Z to A in our opinions, but Zion, what do you think of Hulk?
I actually very love this movie very much because this is like I think a good adaptation of the Hulk. Because the MCU first, they had something going on with Hulk up until Age of Ultron. After that is when they like fumbled the bag with them. But the MCU like never really like they hinted at, but never really like did was talk about like Bruce's past and his like trauma and his like anger issues and all that stuff. Now he like grew up, like why he is this way, what he is, and what this movie does is like they show that and they tell us and show us that through like flashbacks, through the villain, and just like Bruce in general when he turns into the Hulk. And this is like I'm gonna bring it up, but Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes, that's the best adaptation of Hulk. But this movie comes closer to that than the MCU one did. And also the other characters was good, like Thunderbolt Ross and Betty Ross. They were good in this movie, especially Betty, because we don't get a lot of like Betty and Bruce interactions like outside the comics. I know like the first Incredible Hulk movie we did, but after that she just like disappeared. Same thing with Thunderbolt Ross. In MCU, he's known as the Hulk Hunter, but really only hunted the Hulk in one movie. So while in this movie, it shows it in like a better way. And this movie's like just made for like just Hulk fans in general, who like like the lore and all that stuff. Like I think Rick Jones was in this movie too. Like he was working at like the Gamma radio.
He might have been. I
I think that was him.
I
I
don't
haven't watched a movie like in a while, but I think that was him.
from when I've watched it, he's not been in it. Like there is a guy who's there with them, but I don't know if he's actually called Rick Jones. No, I don't see anything saying he was Rick Jones. So I'm like, but he definitely was like they
He was
kind of kept
somebody.
yeah, they kept a kind of like narrative of like, oh yeah, remember like, oh, there was someone who um was in the way of the accident that he had to save, and he was like, oh, go away, and then obviously Banner does the self-sacrifice and gets infected. So like in a way, he's not um he's not Rick Jones, but he is Rick Jones in some way.
Yeah. Well, in my head canon, he is. Yeah. Speaking of the origin, this movie does the origin way better than the MCU one. Like the MCU is just like felt super soldier.
Mm,
While in this one, it's actually comic accurate with his origin.
mm,
And I like how the villain's like a little controversial with being like Zman being his dad, but that's not like a very like bad change. It just made the
yeah.
villain more personal to Hulk, and that's what made like the villain better. Because if it was just like Carl as like the main villain, he wouldn't have no like no reason to fight Hulk. But since they made it David in this movie, it works.
Mm.
And this movie also shows like just Hulk, just like the Hulk power is like better like in general. Like in the MCU, it's just like a big juggernaut, just like smashing things and just. But in this movie, it shows more of his powers, like his like super jump, his more like running fast, and just it's amazing. It's incredible. Better term. It's incredible.
And so Alexi was saying that Harper was the one that, so they changed Rick to Harper. Harper gets saved in the accident, but usually it's Rick, which but that's definitely a great opinion, Zion. What do you think, Ashwan? Have you seen this film, and what do you think? Is this a great film?
Well, Zion said it's incredible. I think it's infernal.
Mm-hmm.
But all jokes aside, I love this film. It's one of Hulk is one of my favorite superheroes of all time. Like my top three in comics is normally Hulk, Wolverine, and Spider-Man. They are my top three. Hulk probably first for me personally, just because I love him so much. And this is the first Hulk film I watched. The first way I knew of Hulk was from this, because my granddad had the DVD. You put it on, and I saw it, and I was instantly like, "This is insane. This is sick." And it's just like, of course, Zion was mentioning the MCU and the MCU Hulk and some other stuff. It's just with this Hulk, like, even though it looks a bit funny, you get like comic to like movie. You get straight from like he's got that weird greenish like color. He's got purple shorts. Like he is what you think of when you think of Hulk, and like just the actor's performance, just the whole thing of just like his backstory and just how much like trauma he went through as a kid to then make that into like a thing of like there's a scene where he's in like I think he's in like a bathroom. He's in like he's in this toilet and then like there's a mirror in front of him and Hulk he's going up to the mirror, he's all sad. Then Hulk pulls him through the mirror. Like Hulk is like the mirror breaks and Hulk is on the other side of the mirror because he's dealing like it's just such a cool shot and he's dealing with all this all this trauma from when he was younger and just having to then deal with it as well as deal with the fact that of course his dad is absorbing man and like them two in the shot that you have here of him getting his powers like they're both sat there chained up and absorbing man the whole time is like taunting him basically taunting him saying, Oh yeah, I can't remember exactly what he says, but he's basically taunting him and wanting the green guy out. He's wanting
Yeah.
like Hulk out, basically wanting them to fight, basically. And then like next thing leads to another, and there's old man just like sod it. He just grabs the cable and just bites onto it, and then he turns into this massive like electricity man thing,
Zax.
and like it's just what you think of when you think of a comic book movie. It is what it says it is. You've got like really quirky kind of Absorber Man things. Even one of the main things that when I always watch it, I'm like, it looks so funny, but it looks so good. You know when Hulk and Absorber Man are fighting each other in the clouds? Then you can
Yeah,
see like Hulk's face and you see Absorber Man's face. It just goes
Yeah,
back
yeah.
and forth, back and forth.
And then the
It's just
music too.
Oh, the music.
Exactly. It's just honestly, Ang Lee's Hulk for me. Even though we haven't started the ranking, I'll say it's top tier.
Yeah.
But
I think,
on to you.
yeah. So I'll go with Alexei going, Ang Lee shot it like a horror film and killed it. Oh, yeah. I forgot the cannibal actor is in this as Tibbs. Wait, I'm trying to think who you're. Wait, who's Tibbs? What, Talbot? No. You gotta tell me who it is because I'm drawing like I know there's like certain actors in this film, like Daniel Day Kim, who's in this, and he's just an aide in the film. He's also in another film, which we'll eventually get to eventually, but it's like, wait, what? Like he was here? What the heck? But okay, in terms of this film, I also agree. It is my favorite Hulk film of all time.
Yes.
The way Ang Lee did this film, like the editing, like how the transitions are like a comic, and it definitely it's a film. Oh, Talbot, there you go, Talbot. Oh yeah, he is interesting. I didn't even know that. Yeah, the way Ang Lee did this film, like the transitions, the way things moved, it just everything just felt so unique. And to this day, a film like no other film has done this. And I feel like it's such a shame this film never got like a sequel or kind of like a follow-up. Although it did have a game which had like villains like the leader and like that red
Beast. I think
Beast and so many different villains of his of Hulk's rogues, which yes, like one of the things is like strange about this film is that David Banner is Absorbing Man in this film, which isn't the case in the comics. But I think, like everyone said, it works because David Banner is such a menace in to Bruce's whole life. Yeah, great figure, obviously. Although I'm always scared because Alexi's version of the I don't have it with me. I would have shown
Hulk No Way Home.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. No, like the way they show how Hulk grows in size when he gets angrier, that's never been done. Only in this film. And like the way they show Bruce Hulk out, I still think it's the best Hulk out scene. Like, obviously, animated series for me is my favorite Hulk in media, just because of I grew up with that and it was so good and whatnot. Although the last season went a bit shit, but it's, as a whole package, is the best. And even I've shown here, I think Zion mentioned it, how when David Banner bites in, when he becomes this and it's Zax, so it's not quite Absorbing Man, but it's different versions of these villains. You could technically say the Cloud is more like one of the UFOs.
Vapor.
Yeah, like Vapor and everything. And it was just I think this film kind of created the standard of I know comics did it beforehand of exploring Bruce Banner's trauma and showing it as from this scared guy who's just his whole life has been this chaotic mess that he has no clue who he is. He thinks that he's a different person, And then when all this is revealed, like when his dad shows up and goes like, "Yeah, you're actually Bruce Banner, not this whatever," and all this happening, Hulk being a separate persona, like you were saying about the mirror scene, it's never been done, and unfortunately, it's sad that Hulk, although in comics they do explore it a lot, especially Immortal Hulk, so great, and it's like one of those kind of like pieces that works with this film, especially for Hulk as like a kind of like a deep dive into his psyche. But yeah, one of my favorites, and I love the fact that you have Lou Ferrigno show up here, and you know you'll definitely see him again in another Hulk film, and obviously Stan Lee. I tried to find like every image of Stan Lee, but I think we'll do that of like rank the Stan Lees. But honestly, I really love this film, and we're gonna go straight into the ranking. And I'm pretty sure everyone's guessing from our kind of like lovely talk about it that this film deserves the highest. I think it deserves the highest rank. But what about you? Or do you think it goes there?
Yes.
If I could make another slot, I would.
I mean, wait, can I? Let me see if I can. Let's create add a row above. Yeah, add a row above. Oh wait, let me cancel that one out. Delete row. And what are we gonna call this? Incredible?
Incredible.
Incredible. And well wait, let me make sure it's green. Because you know, well we'll put it light green. There we go. And we're putting Hulk straight there. There we go. Boom.
One of those films that's just underrated.
Oh yeah. I think
Should've
there
went
was a lot.
sequel.
Yeah, I should have had a sequel, and I think there was a lot of hate during that time. But what a like cult classic now, and like especially how much Hulk has been basically shat on in the MCU, like to basically put it in like light terms. Yeah, it's definitely like you know, what we could have had, and now like hopefully brand new day, maybe we'll get something good. But yeah, now we move from an absolutely amazing film to another kind of like one that I'm like, you know, I actually quite like, which is Fantastic Four. Now, I do want to mention there was a previous Fantastic Four film that existed, or there was a whole issue with that. Like, they made it, but then it never went out properly, and it's sort of like a thing where I really hope they do a remastered version of it, but we're not going to talk about that one just because I don't think any of us have seen that one. Like I think it's on YouTube and whatnot, but I hope that it gets a proper release on Disney Plus. Just because they brought the original actors in the most recent Fantastic Four film. But anyway, we're talking about this Fantastic Four film with Jessica Alba. I can't pronounce the person who plays Reed Richards' name. I think it's like Eon Rifud or something like that. Definitely a strange name. I mean, it's a cool name. Yes, Roger. I think it's Roger Corman or Coleman. Yeah, Roger Coleman's Fantastic Four. I want to like give that a proper watch, or I hope they do give a proper release of that because it's been shadow released on YouTube. It's more of an indie one, kind of like. Yeah, it's a Welsh name for the guy who plays Mr. Fantastic. Obviously, you got Chris Evans in his first Marvel film, although he did appear in other comic book movies. So, you know. And then, obviously, The Thing, we have him. I'm pretty sure. I always get his name wrong because I always think of like a different actor. But it is Michael
Chiklis, right?
Yeah, Michael Chiklis. Because I almost said Cudlets, and I was like, that's not it. That's someone else. But yeah, we have the first Fantastic Four film, or second, but of this era. And my gosh, what a film. And a very good kind of like film to be like building a team, and then you have the main villain. There's definitely some oddities. I think one of them is how Victor Von Doom doesn't like. I think this is going to be a constant theme with Victor Von Doom's in live action. He doesn't have an accent. He doesn't have that kind of like, Latvian accent or persona, really, or like, he doesn't have that ethnic part of him of being from Latveria. It's been a whole thing, but I do want to like this actor is great, and unfortunately he did pass away. I think it was this year or last year, so R.I.P. But we have his Doom in this, where he was actually one of the things they did do different to the comics is that he was infected during the whole like blast of negative energy / cosmic waves. So he has this weird like electricity magnetism power, and slowly his skin is coming off and it's showing like more metal. Even obviously he has a helmet, which eventually we'll probably miss when we get to a certain film. But yeah, I think this is a great start. Definitely still some hiccups, but a solid like outing, and Thing looks amazing, especially when you know it's an actual suit rather than CGI. And I think the outfits have like a aesthetic that it's definitely unique, but you could see some aspects coming from the Ultimate Universe. But yeah, I think it was good. What about you guys? We'll go Ashwan. What do you think of this film?
I love this film. Like when I watch just 2000s in general, like of course grew up then, and just the movies that came out, even though like some of them are classed as like a bit iffy and some of them are a bit shit, but like at the same time they were just sick to watch as a kid, and this was one of them that I still think like holds its weight now, just because like Chris Evans in that Johnny Storm role like fits it so well. Like for him back then, like he fits it so well. Like just how like cocky he is, and just him and the Thing's relationship I love in this film, just because they always like bantering at each other, and like it's just this film, just how it showcases their powers. Like it does them justice. Like it does what you want them to do with their powers, because like even though despite I love Fantastic Four First Steps, the new one, but like I know that Pedro Pascal's Mr. Fantastic only got stretched a certain amount before he could then like he clearly was like feeling it, like feeling like he was hurting when he was only got
Yeah,
stretched like a little bit. When this Mr.
yeah,
Fantastic is like full on like doing like squiggles, and he's like a rubber band, like he's just full on just going everywhere, and so like
yeah,
and it's kind of annoying that a lot of the characters, that even though it's hard to make them as good as these films are, but a lot of the characters in the MCU, even though the MCU has arguably, if not, well, they do, not really arguably, but they have more money, kind of thing. That the characters aren't better. If
yeah,
like most characters adaptations from movies in the 2000s to now in the MCU aren't better, most
yeah,
likely. And so like, and it's just kind of annoying because like with that much money and that much things, like surely you think it would be better, but this like 2000 film, like Doctor Doom as well, even though of course he doesn't have his Latvian accent, but the actor like still does a really good job. Like rest in peace. He's not like rest in peace, but he done an awesome job, and like I know that they all like randomly appear at like certain places. I just like randomly see them on the internet when they're older, and people just like still ask them questions about it, just because like once you like become a Marvel character, you kind of like got that behind you for life kind of thing. So of course, this actor's always going to be known as Mr. Fantastic. I mean, Johnny Storm's going to be, or Chris Evans is probably more so going to be known for another character, but he's known for playing Human Torch.
Yeah.
And like, it's just, I personally think this film is fantastic.
No.
So yeah.
Do the meme. Yeah, and I do agree with that. Like, the dynamics of the team are great in this one compared to Fantastic Four First Steps, because it feels like even like Thing, who in this film is like, they immediately have him like he's married to someone, and then she breaks off the marriage as soon as he comes back with, like, you know, disfigured and everything. And it's like, whoa, like, this is supposed to be a kid's film. And you're making like, and like, one of the things of Thing is that he is a tragic character, a tragic monster, as they call him, where it's like, yeah, he's, you know, he's disfigured after this whole event and he can't have a normal life, whereas the others, and this film shows that. Whereas in the Fantastic Four First Steps, he's more of accepted already. And it's like, where's the dynamic? Where's that kind of like sad monster guy? But Zion, what do you think of this film? Is it fantastic?
This is very fantastic. This movie is, to me, because we grew up, we may have missed the 90s, but we didn't miss the 2000s. We were there. And this is our Fantastic Four. Like, whenever I think of the Fantastic Four, I think of these four actors. Even now, the first step, these four are still my mind's eye of the Fantastic Four. And just the movie in general, like, yeah, there's some things that don't work, but it's still overall like a good movie. Like, all four of these actors like did very good in their roles. Like Reed, he's the the smart guy who like knows everything. They use his powers in like good ways where it would like stretch very far. Jessica Alba, yeah, she's Invisible Woman. She's very great casting, especially from that one scene on the Brooklyn Bridge.
Oh, if you know, you know.
Yeah. Johnny. Well, Chris isn't. This like a cocky, hot-headed character, and it's very well like Captain America.
Yeah.
That makes probably like because because it shows how good he was in that role and how he could like switch up. Yeah. And I like how this version that Johnny did shows like his like cockiness. And the one thing that I wish that this movie kind of did with Johnny is that they should have shown how like even though he's a bit of a hothead and all that stuff, like a jock, he's still like very smart to be like an astronaut and all that stuff. And these movies didn't show that. That's the one thing I like about the MCU version more than this version. But that doesn't knock down this version of John. This version of John is still like fantastic. And the thing, they showed like his trauma and all that stuff and how like it like affected him, like when he couldn't pick up the ring. Yeah, that was a very like emotional scene for him, with the way like his fiance broke off the engagement, and then it shows him in like a new woman who like accepts him for who he is. That was a very good story arc for the Thing. And Doctor Doom is like, one thing about like some of these movies is that for some heroes and villains, I don't think the first movie should be heroes versus their nemesis. Now, for some movies, it works. Like for Blade, it worked for like Deacon Frost finding his nemesis. That worked. But for one like Doctor Doom, I think needs to be like built up as like that grand villain. Yeah. And him just being in this movie, to him being like defeated, and at least him coming back, it's just they should have waited to use him as a villain. It should have just him and Reed, being like rivals
Mm,
instead.
yeah.
But overall, I do like his performance as Doctor Doom. Though it's still like the best live action Doctor Doom so far.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
it's not bad.
Yeah. I think I definitely agree with that. The actor who played Doctor Doom was Julian McMahon, and I think he did a great job for this. Like, he is the best one. Obviously, there's like little nitpicks you can have, like with the costume and whatnot. But I definitely think when we get to the second film, they kind of listen to the feedback about his costume. But yeah, I think it's a fantastic film. It's a great start, and I wish some of the aspects of this film did carry over to the MCU, like especially the friendship, the relationships, the characteristics of the Thing, and also Johnny. But like I do agree, Johnny in Fantastic Four for First Steps has a better, you know, like you can understand him being there as the astronaut, whereas here you just don't understand why he's there because he's such a, like you said, hothead, more like, oh, I need to get the sponsorship. I'm these, and like obviously it's one of the things that is kind of like it ages weirdly with how womanizing Human Torch is in this film, and then obviously in the next one. But I think the next one he's a bit toned down. But yeah, it's definitely like when you go back to like definitely First Steps now, it's like he's definitely got a different aesthetic, but he's still Johnny. But yeah, now let's put this on the ranking of the tier list. So here we go. Now, I will say I think I'm gonna put it on good. But what about you guys? Do you think it's amazing or is it good?
I think good seems right.
Mm-hmm. What about you,
I
Zion?
agree. I agree. Should be in good.
Yeah. And would you say it's, well, actually, I think putting it here right next to Blade makes more sense rather than better than Blade because Blade's iconic. And I do think that this film is iconic as well because it is Fantastic Four that a lot of people like us, Gen Z generation, we think of this team or this iteration as their version. But I would say Blade is more of an iconic film of how it was the first kind of like level up the playing field or the
Mm-hmm.
game space. But yeah, we've got Fantastic Four. Now we move to its definitely weirder sequel, but not gonna lie, still not bad. Could definitely be worse. We'll eventually get to that one. But so I'm gonna say I think it was definitely there were some improvements. But then also there were some lackluster moments, especially a big fart cloud here, Galactus. Yeah, this was what they gave us as Galactus, the big fart cloud, and like you could have been like, oh yeah, maybe, and then at least shown his hand or show what he actually looks like. But no, this is what he is shown in the film, and another oddity in this film is how they implemented the Super Scrolls without implementing the Super Scrolls, because you had this whole thing of like them touching, well, Johnny touching Silver Surfer. I mean, it's not going to be the first time he touches a Silver Surfer. First steps, but but like the effect of him messing around with Surfer's board turns him into a Super Scroll. Like you have this whole like funny bit where he's like touching the other members and then he has their abilities and you have like a brief moment where Thing is like, I'm cured, I'm human again, and he's like, oh, he's so happy, and then immediately Johnny's like, no, go back, and he's like, oh, and again you get a scene where Jessica Alba's Invisible Woman is literally on fire, so I guess it was. You know what the film directors were doing, but I'd say one of the highlights of this film is Silver Surfer, and
Definitely.
boy, Doug Jones, who is the suit actor for Silver Surfer in this film. Oh, I mean, he is the king of playing like different like creatures or aliens because he's got such a like unique stature as a person. Plus, when you put this suit on, because this is a suit, obviously they've used CGI to make it more shiny, but when you see him on set, he literally looks like Silver Surfer, and I'm like, what the hell? This is perfection. And unfortunately, with like later stuff, they don't go for like using physical suits, which I feel like is such a lost media of using physical suits for characters who are like this, like Silver Surfer. And I want Silver Surfer to return in the MCU. I know we had Shalabal, but I would love to see Norin Rad show up as well, because I feel like it would be an interesting story. But anyway, I think he was great. He was voiced by Lawrence Fishburne, which I never knew when I was growing up until a certain Matrix film showed up, and I was like, wait a minute. He's Silver Surfer. What? But yeah, and the way they obviously like this film had Doctor Doom show up again as the main villain, but he's got a new look. He gets the board and everything. But yeah, it's a film where it's like it improves on some aspects. Obviously, the marriage with Reed and Sue, amazing. But then it's like some aspects it doesn't work, like the fart cloud that is Galactus, and kind of like the film only exploring technically two villains, whereas like again it is again Doctor Doom as the final villain technically. But yeah, what about you two? What do you think of this film in general?
I enjoyed it when I was a kid. Like, this is, of course, it's another Fantastic Four film. The cast, like, all four of them are still great in it. Of course, like Jay's saying, the Galactus cloud is just, it's bizarre. Like, the thing is, with the Galactus cloud, I get that it's annoying, but if you think of, you reckon they could have fooled us that time, do you think? Or do you reckon it would have looked a bit iffy anyways? Because I thought about it, and I thought that at the time, even though Silver Surfer looks great, I don't know whether Galactus would look that good. And so, it doesn't bother me because I don't know what, but even though Galactus, actually looking like Galactus would have been very, what you get from this film, all of the Silver Surfer scenes are awesome. First one, but I very much enjoy it. I would still give it, 8 out of 10. I still thought it was very good. Of course, the Galactus Cloud puts it down a fair bit, but I still an enjoyable film. The Super Skrull involvement is a bit odd. I didn't really know what was going on, but yeah, it's a fun time if you want to give it a watch. So
yeah, fair enough. And Zion, what about you? Do you think it's it's a fun watch, but not it's not an improvement on the first one, or it's slightly, but yeah.
I was saying that, yeah, it is a fun watch, and the first one is better, but this one does have some memorable scenes in it, like the Silver Surfer. Johnny chasing the Silver Surfer. It's iconic. Switching powers. Some of those switching power scenes was iconic. The celebration, the dance thing was fantastic. Yeah. Um, but having Doctor Doom come back, uh, it was just like, uh,
Yeah,
I know he's a big villain, but I mean, like, we already had Surfer and Galactus. No reason to bring Doctor Doom back.
yeah,
But yeah, I'll say this movie is like the first one is better, but this one's still like a fun watch.
yeah. And one of the things is from the video game that they did, because they did two like video game spin-offs. I don't remember the first one. I think that was just a straight up version of the movie. But the second, like Rise of the Silver Surfer game, you did have like missions fighting different villains of the Fantastic Four. Like I remember there's a scroll mission where you're fighting scrolls and you eventually fight a super scroll. There's also the red, I think it's Red Ape or Red Ghost, who unfortunately was cut out of First Steps, where he was going to be played by John Malkovich. But in the game, you actually do fight his apes and eventually fight him. So it's like, I do love when video game tie-ins to movies do something different compared to the movie. But yeah, it feels like this film could have been great if certain things were changed, and I think adding different villains, because I think Fantastic Four have a great roster of villains that don't get as much screen time compared to Doctor Doom. Because I think, everyone's mind is like, oh my god, Doctor Doom is the most iconic villain. But I also think like certain other villains like Mole Man, Red Ghost, the Puppet Master, so many others, like, that could get the treatment. And obviously Galactus is a big one. I mean, in size and in, popular rating. But yeah, let's get to the ranking, because like it's definitely like it's not bad, but it could have been better. And I think where we put it, I would say, well, actually no, Ashwan, what do you think? Where would you put it? Oh,
I would say regular.
And Zion, would you agree putting it regular? But like,
I
where would
agree.
you put it?
I'll put it under Daredevil.
So like here or here?
I'll say Daredevil's better.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So it's the case of like Daredevil better in the regular format, but then like next to it is the Fantastic Four. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, because I think definitely agree with like there's a lot of iconic scenes in this film that I feel like some versions of Silver Surfer, like as in like the Rises First Steps, like they could have done scenes like that, but obviously they do their own scenes, which make it even more like they do different scenes that look sick. But yeah, I agree. I think putting it there makes sense. Now, unfortunately,
Oh
from
boy.
there we get to this Fan Four Stick. That is the name. It's not called Fantastic Four. It's called Fan Four Stick. Boy, I'm just gonna say it. This is absolute shit. But I think, like it's such a boring watch. Like I cannot watch it again. And I think a lot of people say they completely forget about this film. I even had to add this onto the tier list because it didn't actually have a place. Like they didn't have an option to put this film there. So I had to upload the poster to be like, yeah, okay, we have to put it somewhere. But yeah, Ashwa, what do you think of this film? Yeah, that's all for my thoughts. But what do you think, Ashwa?
Um, the funny thing is, when I first watched this as a kid, I thought it was alright. I enjoyed it. I then watched it again, and I was like, "What's going on?" Like, it just didn't. It didn't seem like a Fantastic Four. Like, I just didn't understand what was going on. Like, it's naked. They're in like alien costumes. They're in black combat costumes. They're not. They're normal blue costumes. Like they don't like. I don't really how to. He just doesn't look like Doctor Doom, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it's just like it's kind of crazy that the same director that made another pretty good superhero film, somewhat superhero film. I can't remember what it was, but it's like a separate superhero film. It's not like Marvel or DC or something. But he went and made this, and like so, a lot of people had like high expectations, but it just didn't do anything else. Like it just. Like, I'm not surprised that everyone has it. Like it's. I don't know. It's just shit. That's what it is. Shit.
And the film you were thinking about is
So,
Chronicle. Chronicle, he did which is like almost a superhero film, but obviously Max Landis did the story, and my gosh, that film is amazing. As like, and also it does have Michael B. Jordan, which is like it was cool. Like he's great in that, but they did this. But Lion, what about you? What do you think of this Fan Four stick? Do you think it was fantastic, or was it absolute shit?
And the multiverse has endless possibilities. We just was one of the unlucky ones who had to see this movie. This movie is it's terrible, and it says from the same studio as X-Men: Days of Future Past. That movie should not be anywhere near this movie. Days of Future Past is a masterpiece. So the Fox, they can't say it's the same people because there's no way. How would they go from that a year later to this? It's just this movie's terrible.
Yeah, and I love Tac Tac here with some great banter. Annihilus threw this one out of the next episode. Oh yeah, absolutely. And I agree. The thing that works with Fantastic Four is fun, bright 60s style adventures in space and other dimensions. Dark, moody, brooding stuff just isn't for the Fantastic Four. And I totally agree. Like, a lot of people say like the beginning half of this film is okay because it's like developing the characters, although it's still broody. It's that sort of time frame. Like it was 2015, so it was like, oh, we want edgy and dark tone stuff. But the fact that the thing, Ben Grimm's It's Clobbering Time, is actually from his brothers bullying him, and that's what his brothers would say to him. Hey, yo, Ben, it's clobbering time, and they would beat him up, and it's like, wait, what? I don't want to be saying that. That's what? And the fact that the thing has his thing out, although it's just rocks, so he's not wearing any trousers, not wearing any pants. He's just he's got his thing out, all rocked up, and
wow.
and the fact that he's like. It's so bizarre because you have like Reed who's gone off and he's like doing his own mission. You have the Thing as like this muscle for the government. Like after they come back from the negative zone, I guess, and he just becomes the muscle for the government. So he's like, oh, I'm killing people. I'm doing this and I'm here to hunt for Reed. And you have like literally no dynamic with the Storm siblings. So Sue Storm and what's it called? Human Torch, Johnny Storm. Yeah, like because obviously they tried to do some new things where like Johnny Storm is an adopted or like he's a stepbrother rather than an actual brother to Sue, and like there is. I would say this because they have the same character type they have for Human Torch's character in this to Wally West in the CW Arrow Flash show, where they have him like doing these illegal car racing things, and I'm like, wait, why did that happen twice? What the heck's going on? And it's like unnecessary edginess to the character. But yeah, let's put this straight where it belongs in the rankings. Because this is a film that everyone wants to forget exists because and Doctor Doom. Let's not waste any more airspace on him. But I think you know where we're gonna put this. Wait, let's move it all the way to here. I think Howard the Duck has more. There's something going there. Fan Four Stick, bottom, absolute bottom. Like if I had to make it, no, I won't put another tier because then it will be alone. But I think it kind of deserves being there. But I think, yeah, absolute shit is where Fan Four Stick belongs. I think. Do you guys agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah. There you go. So we move from that disaster to Ghost Rider, which Zion, you go first. What was your opinion on this film when it came out? And like, do you like this version of Ghost Rider with Nicolas Cage?
I like this version of the Ghost Rider because this is like the really like the only version of like Ghost Rider outside of like Agents of Shield that I've been like exposed to. Because he wasn't in any of like the animated series I watched growing up, and he didn't get any like other movies. So this is like really like the only version, well, like big version that there is. And Nicolas Cage, he didn't do bad at it. And there are some like more memorable scenes of Ghost Rider. So overall, I do like this movie, but it's not like great.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And Ashwan, what about you? Do you kind of like go in the same boat with Zion in this opinion of like it's okay? It's like it's the only kind of like media apart from Agents of Shield of Ghost Rider that we got exposed to. Do you think this was an okay film?
I actually think it was great. I loved it. Like when I watched it, like the first time I watched it, I just thought it was really good. It's just kind of funny that Nicolas Cage has got 3 superheroes, and it's just like this. It all started with this one, and he just. I'm not with the Ghost Rider character, but this film's fairly enjoyable, like backstory kind of thing. He's got a love interest. He's like all of him as Ghost Rider and just the journey he goes through. Like I just really enjoyed it when I first like watched it. I don't know if I'd have to probably another like watch, but I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the other Ghost Rider that was in this, the older cowboy man. He was like very good in this as well. I liked his little involvement, and like I thought it was good overall. It's not like best, but it's like it's a good watch, and it's one of them films that like even though of course we don't yet, I can like it's the like want to see what the MCU does right after seeing him Shield and this. So
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, no. I mean, for me, when I watched this when I was growing up, I was like, yo, this is actually pretty cool. Like, you know, Nicolas Cage is like amping it up, but it's not too crazy, as we'll see when he goes full crazy in the next one. But like, his look is quite cool. I don't like how they did Blackheart and Mephisto. Like, I mean, Mephisto is just called Mephistopheles, like how the name is like usually in like law and whatnot. I mean, it is Mephisto, but he's like he looks so stupid. uh, the villains are like they're okay, but like Ghost Rider himself is pretty cool. I like how they did him visually, and you know this love interest Roxanne, pretty cool. But like as kind of like one of the only media versions of Ghost Rider, I'm like, it's okay, it works. I do hope the MCU kind of like just goes full ham on this now that we know that Mephisto is in the MCU. Somewhat. I hope we get Ghost Rider done perfectly because I feel like he's a character who needs a little bit more love. Like my actual first interaction of Ghost Rider was in Marvel Ultimate Alliance, best game ever. As like it had so many characters you were introduced to, and like just from the kind of like summary that you get from him, like when you do this comic mission and like you get all the story, that's pretty much what this film does. And I did have a few of the the action figures that came from this film, so I still have the Blackheart, which is just a guy in a suit, and then I do have Ghost Rider. I used to have one where he had an articulated jaw, but the one I have is like he still like he glows, which I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. And like the fact that you had the guy who played Thaddeus Ross in the Hulk film. Oh, see, I still need to get that Ghost Rider.
Oh, yeah, that's the only version of Ghost Rider we haven't seen in live action.
Yeah, Danny. Yeah. Although, fun fact, Danny Ketch had his own like. He was in Hulk animated series. He was also in Fantastic Four animated series, and they were going to do an animated series of Ghost Rider. They even had like a commercial, and they obviously had a toy line to go with it. Hence why there's a retro card of Ghost Rider in the Marvel Legends line. I'm like, oh my god, imagine that would have given Ghost Rider more exposure, but it never happened. So sad. But yeah, let's get straight into ranking this one because I feel like it's not too bad, but it's like it's what we got so far for representation of Ghost Rider. So I think it's like, although I think like Zion and Ashwan have said about Agents of Shield one, we do technically see the first Ghost Rider as in Johnny Blaze when he gives the Spirit of Vengeance to Robbie Reyes. But that Robbie Reyes, I love the actor, but he's so much older compared to like actual Robbie Reyes, if you know what I mean, because like supposed to be like a teen, kind of like age-ish. Whereas the actor they chose, he's pretty much like an adult, and I'm like, wait, what? And obviously they changed his backstory. Instead of him being possessed by his like uncle, he's actually Spirit of Vengeance, which is like, whoa, that's pretty sick. But anyway, let's get into the tier for Ghost Rider number uno. Where will you put this, Ashwan?
I'd put it at the bottom of regular.
Okay, yeah. What about you, Zion? Would you say like it goes here at the bottom of regular?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Man, I really want to move Daredevil. No, it's fine. It's fine. We'll keep him there for now. But we move from the first Ghost Rider to the absolute chaotic nature of the second one, Ghost Rider Vengeance. Oh boy, this is. I mean, look at this image. It pretty much tells you Ghost Rider pissing fire and a kid spewing out fire on to Johnny Blaze. Oh boy, this film, it did not need to exist, and you could tell that it was just a mandate. And it was so funny because this came out, or Ghost Rider came out at the time of like the MCU was coming out. So like there's a world where Nicolas Cage could have been in the MCU. Because like this film, like the first film was good enough to get a sequel. And by the way, the first film does have a great video game, which allowed you to play as Blade, which is a fun fact that I never knew until like recently, and I was like, what? And he's got like a completely different play style. Like it's a hack and slash, but boy, I really want to play that game now. But yeah, this film is so over the place. It's got Idris Elba as some like weird French man, like don't know why he's there. You got a new actor playing Mephisto, but it's so strange. No actual like proper villains, I guess, but it's a mess. But the thing is, some of the scenes of Ghost Rider is actually like I was saying, this is where Nicolas Cage went full chaos. Like he behind the scenes had like makeup to like he did the like Ghost Rider skull face makeup while he was doing his scenes. Obviously they CGI'd his face, but if you look at the like behind the scenes, he's literally going like and being pure chaos. But yeah, I think this film is meh. What about you, Ashwan? Have you seen this film, and what do you think of this film?
I have, and it is just a bunch of mess. It's just I don't know what to think about it, to be honest. It's just kind of like crazy because like it gives you what you want. Like you get to see more Ghost Rider doing cool shit, but at the same time, it's just another sequel that a lot of these earlier Marvel films are doing, where they don't need sequels, and like because this sequel just doesn't live up to the first one. And so it's just like kind of annoying, and because even though a lot of people like, I didn't know about it, of course, until I watched it, because I watched it like after it came out, and because mostly you think of the first Ghost Rider film, but a lot of people don't think of this one, and so it's kind of good in the sense that Nicolas Cage is remembered just for the first one, but like it's just like going off of this, it's just like you're saying, he could have been in the MCU, or like he could have been involved like in that way, or just been involved with like anything MCU in general. Like, of course, we don't know whether he's gonna like show up in Doomsday or Secret Wars, but like I know a lot of people are wanting it. But it's just like, but this film though, for me, like it's just another one of the ones that just didn't need to be made. It's a whole bunch of mess. You got like they don't really know what they were doing. Like it's just a whole pile of just shit, to be honest. And it's just like yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Zion, what about you? What do you think of this film? Do you agree, like, in the aspects of like both me and Ashman's like opinion on it, or like, yeah, what's your opinion on this film?
I can't say I've never seen this movie.
Oh,
This is one of the only like Marvel movies, but there's two more movies that I haven't seen. Well, modern Marvel movies, like after Blade. No, that's only two that I haven't seen, and this is one of them.
Fair enough. I mean, yeah, you're not missing out. Um, I'd only recommend watching like scenes of Ghost Rider in this film, but watching it as a whole, boy, it's a mess. It's all over the place. But yeah, ironically, this wasn't successful enough to get action figures, so there's that. But let's put this in the ranking as we will do now. We've only got 3 more films after this, so I know it shows other films there, but some of them we've already done, and some we'll do in another one. But for now, where are we going to rank Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance? Let's see. Yeah,
I
think
think it's absolute shit.
yeah. I was trying to be like, I don't know. Like, so far, nothing has like gotten to the point of not so solid. But I actually kind of agree where it's like, I don't think it's as bad as Fan Four Stick. I don't think it's as bad as Howard the Duck, but it's not better than Elektra. I think. I think. Do you think that makes sense, or do you think it's worse than Howard the Duck? Oh,
I think it makes sense. 100% it should be in that category. Sorry. I was just coughing
yeah,
a bit. I don't want to stay muted.
that's all right. And obviously, Zion, from our recommendations, you probably be like, yeah, it's absolute shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, yeah, I just say recommending watching the clips on YouTube, not watching the entire film, because boy, you'll be bored and you'll feel like you're getting the penance stare from Ghost Rider when you watch this film, because boy, you definitely regret it. But now we move on to a film that I have, like, I remember not knowing this existed. Then on a weird night, I did watch this, but it is Punisher, the first Punisher film with Dolph Lundgren or Dolph Lundgren, whichever. Okay, so for me, this film is definitely strange because you have like he is Punisher. Like it's not at the point where he's like, oh, I'm friend. He's not doing the MCU Punisher where he gives up being Punisher most of the time and then decides to be Punisher. Oh, hot take, hot take. Not really. It's more of a cold take because yeah, you have this guy literally. The film starts off with him doing an awesome like assassination of these guys, and that's it. Like as in like he's killed the last people that were associated with killing his family. And then pretty much it goes into this whole weird plot where he has to rescue some kids from this evil corporation that are kidnapping kids. And you have this like this Asian lady who's like a crime boss who eventually captures Frank and starts like interrogating him and does the like torture on him while he's shirtless and everything. As you can probably see, he doesn't wear the logo. So I don't even know like if this was meant to be a Punisher film. They definitely call him Frank, but like in terms of Punisher action, it's all right. It's that kind of time, like that era of action, but it just feels weird. It's definitely like a weird, like you probably didn't even know this existed, and yet it does. But I think aesthetically, he looks like Dolph Lundgren always looks great in kind of like any role he is because he's kind of like that model that if you put black hair on him and give him slight of a stubble and give him black gear with some like and make him do like Punisher stuff, it's like yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, he looks like Punisher kind of. Obviously, he's missing the white skull, but yeah, it's a weird film, and I feel like it's gonna join a certain tier. But what about you two? We'll start Zion. What do you think of this film? Have you actually seen this?
I never heard of this movie.
Yeah, fair enough.
When did this come out?
It came out. Let me just double check my facts. I think it was like in the 80s.
Oh, no wonder.
Yeah. It's very like, 1989. So I think someone mentioned that they were born like in the 1980s, so they were probably 9 when this came out, or even someone who was born in 1989. Yeah, and there's definitely weird. Like you see, some posters actually have art of him with the Punisher logo, and some of them have like they call it the Punisher movie special, but you don't see him like he doesn't even wear the skull. So it's definitely a strange, like weird film. But yeah, Ashwan, what about you? Have you seen this film?
I know of the film, but I haven't like watched it. But I assume that it's more alright because it's him. Like he's a
Yeah.
pretty decent actor. He's like he's good at playing these roles, but of course I don't know what the script is like. I don't know what the story is like. He kind of is Punisher, kind of isn't, kind of thing. So I don't know. I may give it a watch, I may not, but I'm like happy to hear what you think.
Yeah, like I'd say it's a decent action film, and it has like there is moments where they go through his like whole emotional distress, but it's like very small, and he's like meditating, like he's literally underground, like in the like he's got like a little main base on like on the underground like tunnels, and he's just like oh, like he's going through like PTSD and that stuff. And I'm like whoa, and it's like a short scene. Definitely didn't need a whole special, like a whole half of the special to do that. But like it's an action film of the time, you know. So I think we'll let's get straight to, because obviously I know both of you haven't seen it, but so I will say, for me, I think it belongs technically onto the not so solid area, but I won't put it above Blade Trinity. Like Blade Trinity has its own charm, but like still has some good action. But I'd say it goes there. But obviously, I know both of you haven't seen it, so I'm kind of toing and throwing of like putting it on didn't watch yet, kind of thing. But what about? Do you think it goes on to the didn't watch? Because yeah, I'm not sure. I feel like I'll put it.
I'd say probably just because like 2 out of 3 people haven't watched it that maybe didn't watch.
Yeah.
But it's honestly up to you.
Yeah, no, I think I'll put it on didn't watch, but higher than Man Thing of like in terms of I'll give this a watch at some point. Because like Man Thing is like I have no clue. But with the Punisher, it's like at least you can technically get out with it being like, okay, yeah, maybe it might be a good film, potentially. Like as in terms of action and that stuff. So we'll put it there at didn't watch because I think that makes sense. You know, like 2 out of 3 of us haven't seen it. Yeah, I think that makes sense. So we'll move from also this pose of Dolph Lundgren. I tried to find some shots of this film, but they're so grainy. And also one of them had him getting tortured, and I was like, I don't know if YouTube would like that. We moved from an obscure film to the Thomas Jane Punisher movie. And we've only got one more film after this, but I will let Zion go first of what you think of this film, Punisher.
For a while, this was my Punisher until the with John Berto Punisher. came on Netflix. So growing up, this was the Punisher I was like exposed to the most, and just like how you like get like connected to something like when you grow up and watch it. I love this movie of Punisher. Like even though like looking back on it, it's not like amazing, but it's still like good. And for a while, this was like my mind's eye Punisher.
Mm.
So I'll say, yeah, this movie it could have done some stuff better, and there are some like kind of iffy moments. But I mean, and he could be in his comic accurate costume and like at least give him like the white gloves and boots or something.
I
But
feel
those are
like
just
that
like
should have
little
been.
nitpicks that we're
Yeah,
still going on even to this day.
yeah,
Where they won't give it to us, so I can't really like hold this movie accounted for it.
yeah. Yeah, that's fair enough. And Ashwan will go from A to Z to A. So, Ashwan, what do you think of this film? Was it good?
I love it. It's really good. Like Zion was saying, of course, this is the main Punisher we had before John Bernthal, and like it's just a very good like adaptation of Punisher. He has like the somewhat comic accurate suit, like, and he does what you expect him to do. Like he's got like action scenes here and there, and of course, one weird part of it is John Travolta's in it,
Yeah.
so that's pretty odd. But like, I just like I very much like it. Like, of course, the Punisher film coming up next, I think that's good as well. But of course, I'll talk about that when that comes up. But
Mm.
this, like, just this in general, just like what he looks like as well. Like, he just suits the Punisher like style. Like, just he does a good job as Frank. Like, I love it personally. So
Yeah, fair enough. And so the reason why I didn't put John Travolta's face, like I could have put him there, but I feel like, one of the things is like, like he did an okay part. Like he was just meant to be a mob boss, and like you can tell like this film was like, oh yeah, well let's just have a mob boss here, and ironically it's John Travolta. But the reason why I put his son, who is like kind of like the starting point of this film, or the other son, because remember there's twins, because this was actually meant to be Billy LaRusso or Jigsaw, and eventually in the Punisher game, they do eventually make him into Jigsaw, which was strange because at the end of this film he's grabbing onto a like grenade, but he's weighed down, and it's like, oh, he's gonna die. And like, I never knew this guy was like actually Jigsaw. So then in the video game, which by the way, it's the best Punisher video game, and it's the only Punisher video game, which does the awesome like kill animations, but then they censored it, but then you can find the uncensored stuff. And that game has Matt Murdock show up, it has Iron Man show up, and it even has like Jigsaw in an Iron Man mech armor, like, and Bullseye, as I mentioned before. It's chaotic, like it's crazy, and also Black Widow and Nick Fury. It was a crazy game. And you had Thomas Jane voice Punisher, so I feel like at that time that was definitely a weird like case of like, oh my god, an actual like the actual actor voicing their counterpart or their role in a video game, because you don't get that a lot. MCU games that did come out, only one of them had, they eventually had like Chris Evans was very involved in his game, which I think when we talk about that, I'll definitely talk about that game. But yeah, this film so good. Like I agree. Like you have Punisher in multiple outfits in this film. Like you have him in the t-shirt where they actually give a reason to why he has the t-shirt, as it was his, like it was a gift from his son. Also, son, Frank Jr. It's a terrible gift. It's a bad omen to give to your dad. Also, the film went very hard on like because like in the comics, it's just his wife and his 2 kids or his kid that get killed. This film's like we're not holding anything back, and it's the case that like they kill like the mob, like family kill all of Frank Castle's family from father, cousin, mother, nephews, whatever. They kill all of them, and then it gets to the last point where it's the mother and the son escaping, like they're running, and it's like just on this narrow beach walk thing, like bridge, and then eventually they just get ran over. It's like what? Or run over, and it's like what? Like this film did not have to go crazy on Frank Castle's whole origin, but they did. And then, you know, when he is wearing the outfit, he has a t-shirt. He also has the t-shirt with the trench coat, which is iconic for this film. And then they also have him in the vest. This film was so good. Also, him at the end when he's dragging the corpse of John Travolta or his character, and like how he's like, "Ugh," and then he like lights him on fire, and he's just like, "Ugh," and he's still like struggling, so crazy. And also how he manipulated the mob boss's wife and his security guard, and that whole plot. Like, damn, Frank, that's actual Punisher being Punisher, being like, I'm going to ruin your life. And I'm not going to do it like gun blazing. I'm just going to plan it that you eventually do the deed. And then it's like, that wasn't the truth. And it's just like, oh, like when John Travolta like throws his wife on the train track, and it's just like, wait, what? Like, Frank didn't have to go that hard, but he was like, yeah, you kill my whole family. Oof. I'm gonna make you kill your own family. It's just like, what? Mental. But yeah, great film. And I want to, Jay was saying, found the Marvel Legend of the Thomas Jane Punisher the other week behind the toy units. I still want to get that figure just as representation, because I know Hasbro might not do him in figure form, but I would love the Thomas Jane Punisher figure, like up-to-date one. And I feel like you could definitely do it, and I might have to do a custom of him because I have that Rider series Punisher where it's like him in a t-shirt, and I feel like if I just get a custom head and get a trench coat, that's him. And I'm like, oh, but yeah, come on, Hasbro, give us a. I hope you're watching. Give us a Thomas Jane and a Wesley Snipes Blade, but from his first film. Although the new one is pretty good, I want him in his young look with the trench coat. But anyway, let's get straight to the ranking of this one. And I think we're all going to put it somewhere the same place, but it's whether if we put it with another film. But yeah, let's go straight into the ranking. Where do you think you'll put it, Zion?
I'll put it in amazing.
Okay. Ashwan, where do you think?
I think amazing seems pretty fair.
Yeah. I think amazing as well. So would you put it above Blade 2 or just to the side, still being great or still being amazing?
That's the tricky part. Because I have a bias to like Street Level Heroes and Punisher. But then Blade is just for now I'll keep it where it is.
Yeah. I think it's perfectly fine there, and like we've got a good list, and we're on the last film for today. Because we'll do, I think we said before, Spider-Man, like the Spider-Man films are all getting their own rank the movies because they are as iconic as Spider-Man is. So we can't just put them there and then that's it.
Okay.
So, and as well as we already did the X-Men ones in the previous rank the movies. So let's get straight into the next film, which is our last film, which is Punisher Warzone. Also, let me check the chat. We do have Jordan saying hi, Zion. There you go. I'm assuming it's one of your friends. Shout out, Jordan. Oh, sister. There you go. So there. Now, Punisher Warzone. Ashwan, give me your thoughts on this film.
Well, I think this is amazing. Honestly, I love this film so much. Like, it's just like just him how he plays the Punisher. It literally because I watched it more recently, and then after watching it, I watched someone watch it who knows more than me, so they know more about the comic side of stuff. And like, just when like getting told that it's basically seems like it's been plucked straight from the comics and just been made into a movie, like he just his role as a Punisher just he plays it so well. Like there's just like you get what he goes through, and just like there's like a little thing where like he has an involvement with like a little girl or a little boy, and then like he has to protect her a little bit and keeps her in like his little layer, and then like of course you got whole like Jigsaw's whole involvement, and he gets done in a I think it's like a glass factory, like glass bottles. He get put in like a tank of glass bottles, and they all get all like shattered around it, like he just gets crushed into this thing, and he gets pulled out and end up looking like that, and just. There's also one scene that if you haven't watched the film, then you definitely have to see it. But for some reason, just because this is 2000s, parkour was like a big thing around when this came out. And there's these people doing parkour, and then there's this guy who jumps from building to building. Halfway through jumping from building to building, the Punisher shoots him with a bazooka, and he blows up. Like halfway through building to building. It's just. It's one of the most craziest things I've ever seen in a comic book movie. It's just like, what the hell's going on? But it's just like how he goes about certain scenes as well. Like he's in this like massive house with all these like mobsters that are met up in this house, and he just like he hangs down from the chandelier upside down, and he just starts spraying all of them. Like it's just this film is just awesome. So.
Wow, that's awesome. Zion, what about you? What do you think of this film?
Movie is very good, and this is our best looking adaptation of Jigsaw. Because the first one didn't even touch on it. The Punisher barely even did his like disfiguration. The MCU version. This is how he is the closest we have in this. And this is just the Punisher just doing Punisher things. And this is what we love to see from a character like the Punisher. And just like the first one, this movie did it in an amazing way.
Yeah, and fun fact, Ray Stevenson, R.I.P. Ray Stevenson, one of the greatest like actors to play a Punisher, he did reprise his role in the most bizarre way in Superhero Squad. If you don't remember that, it was a pretty much very chibi like cartoon of the Marvel universe, Marvel Superhero Squad. And I remember Hasbro did a line of them. I used to collect them, not properly, but it was fun. Fun, very kidified versions. But Punisher was in that show, and it was like one of the weirdest things because one of the things about Punisher is that you can't really have him in a lot of things because he's like his age rating definitely kind of like screws things up with stuff. But he was in Superhero Squad, and Ray Stevenson returned to play him, and he has this like dialogue about talking about vegetables and eating them and whatnot, and it's just like, yo, what the heck? And it's like it's so frank, like it's so Punisher. But like he's talking about vegetables, and you're like, wait, what? And it's like, oh, also that show did have an accurate Punisher. Come on, MCU. Even a kid's show can do a proper accurate Punisher. I digress. But yeah, like the action in this is so crazy. I remember the director was kind of like, it was at that time where violence wasn't kind of like approved in films. Like there was the whole thing about like violence in video games and whatnot. But like this one was like the director was like, I want to make sure it's faithful to the comics. She read some of the comics as well. Like she did her research and she was like, yeah, I'm gonna have Punisher do some mad shit. And there were scenes that were cut that were like gonna be like absolutely brutal. And I'm like, you cut some brutal stuff, but the film's already brutal. What the heck did you cut?
Well, maybe they had like a limit.
But like one of the things that is like a kind of downside of this film is like, as you can see from the poster, he has the skull very, prominent. But from this shot, you can't really see it because it's a very dark gray. Like you can see it in some shots if you put up the brightness, but unfortunately, it's very subdued, like in the actual film, which is like it's an unfortunate thing. I think there was a case of like you don't want it to be too comic booky, and I'm like, I think the case with like there's always an opinion on Punisher of like how to do his look and how to modernize it, and I'm like, man's crazy. That's the whole thing about Punisher. He is on a crazed mission of getting rid of the like criminals. It doesn't matter if it's like the skull. Like I know, obviously there was there's a whole nother thing about the skull, but to me, he's got to wear it proud. The skull, and it could be a different design the skull, whatnot. But it should be bright white because then when it gets blood on it, it gets stained. Also, the white gloves. Anyway, one of the highlights of this film is Jigsaw. He's played by a British actor or like an Irish actor. And the way, like Ashwan was saying, the way they did his accident, where he gets proper mashed up, it's like, boy, like that was brutal. Like he was saying, he's thrown into like a glass shattering machine, and he's twirling around, and you're like, his face is getting like they actually show it. Like, to be fair, the Punisher show did show Billy getting like his face mashed up with a few shards of the mirror. But then when you see his look after that, this is where the movie does it so iconically accurate to the comic. Where it's like, damn, why didn't we get this like in the Netflix show? And it's like, it still is the best look for for Jigsaw. And I feel like, damn, this was back in the day, not present. This is like still looks amazing. I'm just so stunned that we got shafted in the Netflix era. And I'm like, I'm hoping post Secret Wars they redo Jigsaw to make him look as effed up as this guy looks. Because that's how he's supposed to look. He's supposed to look stitched up, his face like almost peeling off and whatnot, like a jigsaw puzzle. It's in the name. But yeah, honestly, such a great film for its time. I still think it's timeless because it's got like amazing action. It's got Microchip, who wasn't involved in this first in the Thomas Jane film, and then like in Punisher he was kind of used, but because like they stopped using him, and now the actor is playing Thing in the MCU, so they can't really use him. So it's the case of like, we don't get proper Microchip. But at least in this film, he was played by the same guy who played. He was in Jurassic Park, the original. It was like Jurassic Park. Let me see. I know he has an iconic name. I just don't know. I always forget. Oh, Dennis. Oh no, Wayne Knight. That's the guy. He played Dennis Nedry in Jurassic Park. He played
Wayne Knight.
Yeah, Wayne Knight. There you go.
Al from Toy Story 2.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, great film. And now let's get to the ranking of the last film on the tier list. I know it shows the other ones, but we're not doing those yet. We said later on. So where do you think we should put Punisher Warzone Zion?
Okay. I think It's in between two tiers. It's either amazing or good.
Ooh.
Cause like I do like that first, the other one better.
But do
I'll
you
put
think
it.
it's also?
I'll put it like good, but over Fantastic Four.
Oh, okay. That's where we're gonna put it. But Ashwan, what about you? Do you think the same thing, or would you put it higher?
I would put it in amazing for a comic book movie. Like it does the job, and I feel like from book to film, like I think it's just amazing because they get away with and are able to do so much that I don't think any other Punisher film or Punisher thing like does because they can actually do a lot of stuff without getting like hindered for it kind of thing. So I personally think it's an amazing. But
Okay. So we're kind of tied because I'm like also it could belong in amazing, but then I'm like it's not better than Thomas Jane one in some aspects. But I'm also like Blade. I think Blade should also be moved as well to amazing as well. I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
because like those two movies, Punisher 2 and Blade, I'll it's like they're on the same level
Yeah,
because like the adaptation, how much like impact they have on
yeah.
just for the character.
That's why I think it's like, would I put like because now we can move different films. So I'm like, would Blade go like above Punisher Warzone, above Punisher, and like be like in between Blade 2 and Punisher? Or would it be like right next to Punisher Warzone? What do you guys think?
I would say it would go beside Blade
I
2,
think Blade above.
yeah, above Punisher.
Okay. And Ashwan, do you agree with that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So now we've got our list, but let's see if there are any other movements because we've now moved Blade from good to amazing. So now let's go through it. So we have, of course, top tier, Incredible Hulk. That is the best one. I hope no one says otherwise. I'm joking. I'm joking. Then we have amazing. We've got Blade 2, Blade, Punisher, and Punisher Warzone. Then we have Fantastic Four being on the good tier, the very lonely good tier. And then regular, we've got Daredevil, uh, Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer, and Ghost Rider. And then we've got not so solid Blade Trinity. And then didn't watch, we have The Punisher and Man Thing. And then on absolute shit tier, we've got Elektra, Ghost Rider, Spirit of Vengeance, Howard the Duck, and of the worst, we have Fan Stick. Now, do you think we can move? Is there any other film we think could move either above or lower? What do you guys think?
Loki, maybe Daredevil. Now that I'm thinking about it, because if we put Ghost Rider there and Rise Silver Surfer, Daredevil, I think has like more better quality than those two movies do.
Hmm.
Like you, comic fan to enjoy the movie. And for a while, that was our Daredevil and our
Yeah.
only Daredevil.
Hmm.
Just like the Fantastic Four. It's just that the Fantastic Four didn't get like another good adaptation until like recently, while Daredevil has like was given another good adaptation.
Right.
And
Yeah.
there's some, and like I said before, there's some stuff that this Daredevil does better than the MCU version. We
Mm,
can't say that for Ghost Rider.
that's true. So I think, do you think like the Daredevil will be on the top of good tier or just next to Fantastic Four?
I'll put it just next to.
Okay, there we go. What about you, Ashwan? Are there any films you think need to be moved down or moved up?
I think all of it for me was very good. Like Hulk is where I want it to be, right at the top, where it should be, and like they're all just like they're spaced out really well. Like just, like even I like love the Fantastic Four, but I don't think it's as good, if not in the same tier as the Punishers.
Hmm.
And like I just think we've done this like really well. So
Yeah,
yeah.
perfect. So now we've got the official final list. We'll go from absolute shit. We got Elektra, Spirit of Vengeance, Howard the Duck, and Fan Stick. Didn't watch. We have The Punisher and Man Thing. So tune in to next week and see if we all watch any of these films, and we'll see if this gets moved up or moved down. But who knows? Make sure you tune in. But then we have Not So Solid. We have Blade Trinity. It's the only one where it's one film on the tier list. So it's there you go. Then we have regular. We have Fantastic Four, Rise of Silver Surfer, and Ghost Rider. And then good, we have Fantastic Four and Daredevil. And then on amazing, we've got Blade 2, Blade, The Punisher, and Punisher Warzone. And then finally, the top of the tier in Incredible, we have Hulk from Ang Lee. So there we go. So let's make sure we save that. Download. There we go. So now we have that in the history books. But yeah, that is pretty much it for the okay. So Jay, we've got Jay here. Blade 1 and Punisher would be my highest tier. Hulk wouldn't get past good for me. Ooh, why not? Well, you gotta watch Hulk again. You gotta watch Hulk again. Because I think it's definitely like it's definitely
Yeah.
like I would say well, I mean I say it's better than Blade 1 and Punisher in my opinion. But I think that's because I'm more of a Hulk fan.
Yeah.
But they're good films. But yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That was the it's showing up. It's showing the tail. Oh, there we go. So there we have. Oh, it's glitching. Wait, here we go. There we go. That is rank the movies, non-MCU movies, and we have done the tier list. So make sure you tune in to the next rank the movies, whether it be next week or whenever, when we tackle the Spider-Man movies.
No.
That that will definitely be an interesting one because there's a lot of bangers.
And there's a lot of terrible.
There's also some terrible ones.
Yeah.
So make sure you tune into that. But let's go around the board from Z to A. We got Zion. Where can the lovely people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at GRC_. Here every Saturday on Dan Hughes Legend Liquor every 2 weeks because Group 2 is the best.
There we go. And of course, where can the lovely people find you, Ashwan?
Well, Ashwan231 on Instagram, Ashwan231 Comics on YouTube. Here every week on Gen Z Report, whether that be 10 o'clock, 6:30, whatever time we make it, we'll definitely be there talking either toy news or talking toy news, maybe recent reveals that happened, or rank the movies or nostalgia stuff, whatever it may be, we'll be there. And I'll be there. But of course, you can also find me on Dan, who's Legends and Liquor every 2 weeks. Group 2 is the best group, but don't want to start anything with people from Group 1 because I don't want to start any beef. But I personally like Group 2 because I'm in there. And also, you can find me on the Dan Who Reviews Extra show every Thursday after Jay and Dan talk about whatever thing they decide to talk about. I'll talk about it a little bit, and so will other people. So become a member, guys, because you can see good quality content.
Awesome. And I think Zion's dropped, but it's fine. You can find me here on Gen Z Report on Agent Z-Man or Z-Man12 Bat channel. You can also find me on Instagram at agent_Z-Man, where I do some photography. And you can also find me on the recap on Encounter Cultures live streams, as well as you can find me on Dan Who's extra live streams. You can always find me there, maybe. And also on the Legends and Liquor streams. So I'm always there, always invading different streams. But yeah, that is pretty much it for today's Rank the Movies. Make sure you give this video a like, share it with your friends. Also, comment what you would put in your tier list for the non-MCU films, which films you'd put in there. But yeah, that is Agent Z-Man and the Gen Z Report signing off.
You requested.
The Gen Z Report, your weekly dose of awesome.
Toys and comics.
Covering all the topics. Week in, week out. That's what it's all about.
The only source you need.
The Gen Z Report.
Gen Z Report.
Gen Z Report.
Ashwan.